Need one. It's the most complete, free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service with shop referral. Only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com. Like, you know to check you have gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So if you want to save money, check Allstate first at 888-ALLSTATE or allstate.com.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
After you use Bounce Dryer sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll put a sheet on it every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry...
At the Home Depot, it's our business to support yours. Partner with your go-to source for building your business. We can help you streamline your operations by
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, despite rumors that he may be moving on from the team, Matt Stafford and the Rams have agreed to a restructured contract, keeping the QB in L.A. No word yet has been released on the full terms of the deal. The New York Giants thought they had a shot at signing Matt Stafford. They could now be pivoting to Aaron Rodgers for their open QB position. Rodgers is a free agent after being released by the Jets after 2 disappointing seasons with the team. The on-field workouts continue today for the NFL Combine. You are going to see the defensive backs and tight ends in action there. Your Portland Trail Blazers look to extend their winning streak right now. They've won 3 in a row. They want to win 4 in a row tonight, taking on the Nets in Brooklyn. That one's going to have a 4:30 tip. Forwards Jeremy Grant and Denny Avdia are game-time decisions. With injuries, Portland is a 1-point favorite. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan.
Anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, happy Friday, end of the week, a sunny week here in the Rose City. How's everybody doing?
Great, man. Are you kidding me? I drove to work. Or drove home from work yesterday with the windows down. Drove to work with the windows down.
Yeah,
it was
look at that.
Quite nice.
Look at that.
Quite nice.
It is warm. It's good to have that.
Are you a windows down guy, or,
Nope.
or do you hate the sound of the wind?
No, I don't like the rattling of wind, especially because I take like a freeway home, so I don't like the rattling of the. Don't like it.
You just gotta crack the other window.
No, I don't like that sound.
Oh.
It still does it. Not like with just one window down. With one window down, that's unbearable. But with two, still don't like it.
I love
when you're going slow. Yeah,
I love having the window down, whatever speed. I don't care.
Yeah, that tracks. Everything tracks right there.
Just feels good. Turn the music all the way up.
Yeah, that again, right on brand.
Yeah,
right on brand.
It's a
there.
wonderful thing.
The music has to be really loud for that to happen.
All the way up.
Yeah,
all the way up.
I'm sure your ears are definitely not going to go.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely not service related or anything like that. It's not like I have a massive case of tinnitus in my left ear that may or may not have been pointed at the end of a rifle of a.
What isn't injured on you?
My back.
Oh,
my back and my neck.
All right, so we're waiting on that.
Yeah, no, back and neck, all good, man.
My back.
Yeah, exactly.
Sing it.
No.
No, my crack's good.
No.
No shoulder injuries. I've managed to avoid those.
Okay. All right.
So basically, like I said, man, from the waist up, we're good.
Except for the tinnitus and whatever the hell's going on between your ears.
Oh yeah. But no, really, the only thing that I'm dealing with is the tinnitus. But it has gotten exponentially worse over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that'll happen. You're getting old.
Yeah,
you're getting old. You're getting old. Will Ortner's pulling a quadruple header today. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Awesome. I'm great. Oh yeah, great text on the Vancouver Ford text line. Dusty keeps the window up to avoid getting his mustache messed up. I don't have to worry about that. No, it's not.
So it's actually how I style mine.
I don't have enough
window
going
down
on there.
Let it flop in the wind.
I'm at threat level midnight with my son.
Oh.
Yep.
What's going on?
He hit a 3-pointer in his basketball game last night.
Is this like a high school range?
Is an actual
high school range
3-pointer. Very, very happy for him. It was sick. It was one of those like dad son bro out moments, right? He hits the 3. Here's where the threat level midnight starts. That's all he's going to shoot now. That is like he got that taste. And he's going to be chasing that high.
Yeah.
It's going to...
Trying to grab the tail of that dragon?
Dude, it's going to be a thing. And we're going to have to temper it. The rest of the game is a lot of me going, hey, eyes up, look for a teammate. Eyes up, look for a teammate. You know?
Is this a like over-the-shoulder shot kind of deal? Is he in the shot pocket?
We don't do that. It is everything is in the pocket.
Okay.
That's what we go with.
Okay.
I mean, it is... We have a very regimented 3rd, 4th grade technique. We do wall shootings still.
Oh, there you go.
Remember wall shooting?
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Remember
Hit
that?
the spot.
I remember going to basketball camp as a kid, and Wild Bill Stevens at Glencoe High School used to make us, and you'd have just every wall in the gym, just little kids going back shooting up the wall.
Yep.
I don't feel like they do that anymore.
Probably not. Yeah, you could go into the gym at Whitford, and they had a little tape X for your spot to hit.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
There's like little X's across the wall.
Just wall shooting all day long. That's the boring stuff the kids don't want to do anymore.
Stuff that matters, man. It's what turns shooters into shooters.
It is. I was a terrible shooter.
I've talked to probably half a dozen of like the best shooting coaches on the planet, and they all say the same thing, some version of the same thing. Like I asked John Townsend, who works with the Trailblazers, who rebuilt Jeremy Grant's shot, and he was like, anybody can become a good shooter, but it is the amount of work you have to do, and the amount of sacrifice that you actually, the ego that you have to swallow. Most guys just aren't capable of it.
Yeah, I feel like dribbling with your offhand and then just shooting technique. That's it. Yeah. Huh.
The guy
I had a lot of, hey, your shot looks good. You have good rotation. Doesn't go in. I was like, I don't know either.
I mean, like,
it's the damnedest thing.
If anybody wants to point to like an actual example of like doing like drills and like drilling to an obscene amount, you can look to 2 Oregon-related players in the sense of Peyton Pritchard and CJ McCollum. Both those guys are not the best athletes on the face of the planet, but the amount of work those dudes put into drills,
all of them were
obscene.
Tiny growing up, though.
Yep,
tiny growing up.
And they figured out how to do
went
it.
through his growth spurt. Peyton Pritchard did not. But do you remember that dribbling video of Peyton Pritchard in his garage during COVID?
Yeah, the Super Handles one. Yeah,
that was
No, his handle is obscene.
It
Because
made me dizzy to
Yeah.
watch him dribbling in his garage.
he's got it on a string.
That's crazy.
No, I mean that's what you have when you aren't 6'7" and an otherworldly athlete.
Mhm.
That's what you have to do. I mean, the skill gap between him and like a Shaden Sharp is
Yeah.
a canyon.
Yeah. Do you think kids do the thing now where, like, I remember watching Pistol Pete videos. Remember Pistol Pete Maravich dribbling videos?
Oh, yeah.
And he had the Red
No.
Auerbach videos too.
No.
Where, like, you would, I know you
definitely
don't.
not. He's talking to me here.
But they, yeah.
Well, I'm just, I've
We can-
answered your question.
You have answered. They
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
No.
They definitely don't do it.
No, they don't know who Pistol Pete is.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I remember like
I know who he
Pistol
is.
Pete was the coolest guy before any of the cool guys were around.
we had the Hubie Brown ones too.
I don't ever remember watching Hubie Brown.
Oh, really?
Mm-mm.
I viscerally
No.
remember the Hubie Brown behind the back pass one.
Mm-mm. I remember going to the old Hollywood video, and they had like the sports video sections, and
Now it's just YouTube.
we checked out the Tom Lemansky, Fred McGriff throw the ball into the garbage can
Uh-huh.
from the outfield, and the Pistol Pete Maravich videos. They were great. And it was like you start to do it and you're like, I can't do this. And then right when you're like, I can't do this, it was like clockwork. They'd be like, you probably can't do this right now. You need to keep trying. And those were great. Where do you go for those? Because I feel like what kids do now is there's so much on YouTube.
It's not just that, it's the skills trainer or guys saying that they're skills trainers. And there's so many charlatans that are out there. The guys that are actually skills trainers are so few and far between. Like these high school AAU trainers, air quotes, that end up like they attach themselves to a player in middle school or high school, and that's how they get to the NBA, and then they grow their brand or whatever that crap is. Most of these guys aren't that. Like
Football has a lot of that.
Football
too.
has a ton of it.
Ironically, today at the gym, I was pedaling on the bike. Connor Stallions has a great tweet about 7-on-7 and this exact same thing you're talking about.
Like then there's like in the
Attachers on
in the football world where you get guys who are actually good at it, like Eric Crocker, like the stable of DBs and wide receivers that he has had over the last like 5 or 6 years.
Duke Mayweather with all the O linemen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was it David Robinson? Not that one.
Yep.
He's a receivers coach. He does an incredible job. But then you get guys who, like into what Connor Steins is talking about, I can't tell you how many times I have to break kids from doing what is this 2.5 second stutter release that you're trying to get off the line of scrimmage? That's not real.
No.
And your offensive line doesn't have enough time. You're not getting to where you need to be because you have this ridiculous release off the line of scrimmage. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And kids are like, well, I saw it on your training video. It's like, don't watch that.
In the
Whatever that
basketball
is,
world,
get that out of the algorithm.
It's like, drive the paint around these cones, change your pivot foot 6 different times, and then have the guy with the sticks beating on you. And it's like, how about you just work on your handle first? How about you work on the ability to get to that spot first? And how about you do it at game speed? Those are the things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you see how I've been to workouts with NBA players and seen how top flight guys work. It's very different from what you see in these training videos and stuff like that. And you're like, this is corny and dumb. Oh my God, what is this?
But on the flip side of that, like it is, you talk about this a lot, where the NBA, where they've lost their way, is the highlight culture.
Oh,
and
God,
the highlight
yes.
videos that the league itself
It's
pumps
pushing.
out.
Yeah.
And they think is far more important than actually people sitting down for 2.5 hours to watch a basketball game. Right. And they watch those highlights, and like any inquisitive person, they go, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So they'll go and they'll search that, and boom, there'll be a video on YouTube on how it's done, and they want to go straight to that, right?
Instead of doing, and this is the problem with basketball specifically, the skills coach, like the lower level skills coach, the big man camp, the point guard camp, like those, other than like CP3, and to Dame's credit with Formula Zero, which is a little bit different, but there's just not that many of those like pipeline development core experiences for kids anymore.
But what we did, we were the same way though, because we would watch, crunch time videos of the biggest hits in the NFL, and all of a sudden there was 3 generations of football players that were leading with their head and launching just to take somebody out. right? Like that was exactly it was the same.
Terry
That
Tate
was
office linebacker,
yeah,
man.
that was our generation. Now it's like the game of football almost ceased to exist because they're like, whoa, we need to rein this in. And now you don't see those videos anymore. If you see those videos, this is how you do not tackle because it's dangerous. And then it's 15-yard penalty. In college football, you're getting ejected from games. But, we had the same thing. It was just how not to play and how not to tackle in the game of football. So I guess every generation has it. It's just there's a lot more access to it. Now. It's crazy. And, we do sound old, as this texter says. Don't you guys remember watching the old black and white Patches O'Houlihan, how to throw a dodgeball? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Right?
But that's the thing is like that in itself is making fun of all of these trainers that are out there. I mean, they brought a crazy drunk dude who's throwing wrenches at people.
But it was fundamentally sound.
It was.
It was fundamentally sound.
It was rooted in truth, grounded in experience.
Yeah.
That first time I saw that, I think I mentioned this before, Vince Vaughn came out to Afghanistan and gave us a pre-screening of Dodgeball.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've ever laughed harder at a movie, and I think a lot of that had to do with the circumstances at that point in time in my life. But the first time that Justin Long got hit in the face with a wrench, I nearly wet myself.
That sounds about right.
It was very much a ouch my balls or ow my balls situation of like, that's so dumb. But I let out a blood piercing just howl of a scream.
Yeah, I mean, it's a memorable movie, especially when the Girl Scouts get disqualified.
The low grade beaver tranquilizer.
And damn it, Bernice!
And she's got like a facial beard starting, starts walking away.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. All right, let's get this show on the road. Coming up today, we have Brooke Olzendam, Trailblazers sideline reporter. It is the last day of February, and it is Brooke Hearts Your Heart month. So we want a final push for Brooke Hearts Your Heart. Brooke will join us live from Brooklyn to see what shenanigans Brooke has been up to in Brooklyn as the Blazers get ready to take on the Nets today. So we have Brooke coming up at 1 o'clock today. It's always fun to have Olzendam on the show. BO is always a great time.
Goated.
We have got more Combine stuff going on around the NFL, but the biggest story out of Combine has nothing to do with the guy who is there. It has to do with a guy who's 37 years old and running it back. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
College football Odyssey app, and Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
The big story out of the NFL scouting combine at the beginning of the week, it actually started Reportergate, where we had two reporters go and square up in a Starbucks. Jordan Schultz, Mr. Starbucks himself, the son of Howard Schultz, and Ian Rappaport, they went toe-to-toe, chest-to-chest over a report that Schultz had that Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford had gone to Montana to meet up with Tom Brady, hit the slopes, and talk a little foosball. And Ian Rappaport squashed that report while at the combine. And then it ended up having to go to the NFL's security to smooth things over. And then the NFL had to release a statement that, in fact, Tom Brady did not tamper with Matthew Stafford in the Los Angeles Rams because the Rams told him, no, you're good, man. You can go and talk to other teams and try to find a new deal. Well, we have already come to a resolution. Time flies, man. Matthew Stafford will return to the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, that was quick.
He will not be a Las Vegas Raider.
It was like Grandpa Simpson walking in and out of the bar.
Yeah, he will not go to the New York Giants. And when we talked about this at the beginning of the week, I said, yeah, the play for the Rams is to say, you want $50 million? Mm-hmm. Go ahead. If you want to go find it, if you want to go find $50 million and go to a place that you think is going to be better for you, by all means, go do it.
Now, have we actually gotten the number? Because all I've seen is restructure. And I would imagine both sides are trying to keep that quiet.
Well, it is a restructure because Matthew Stafford has 2 years remaining on his deal. Only $4 million are guaranteed this year. No money is guaranteed in 2026. So you call it a restructure because of the fact that he wants that money, baby. So you go ahead and you're going to give him guaranteed money in that deal over the next 2 years, and you can kind of smooth that thing out and potentially give him, that third year, tack on a third year at the end so you can kick the can down the road a little bit more. Stafford might not get $50 million from the Rams. It's going to be close.
There's going to probably be an additional guarantee year in there, I would imagine.
Well, what do you mean? The third year that I was saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it might be an
Partial.
option because that'll put him at 40.
God, really?
He's 37.
God, I know he's been in the league forever, but it's weird to kind of think of him as being only a couple years younger than Aaron.
Yeah, he's 37. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He's 37 years old, and he's been beat up. He's still really damn good, though.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, it was a smart move by the Rams because they said Sean McVay went to the combine and made no bones about it. We want Matthew Stafford to be a Los Angeles Ram. We do not want him to go and play somewhere else. We want him back. But the team also told him, if you think you can get money somewhere else, if you want to go and shop yourself, go ahead and do it. So you did right by him, and you let him see what the market had.
And then the right way.
You end up him coming back, and this isn't a tail between his legs situation because it wasn't like they were on bad terms. They were still on very good terms for him coming back to LA and playing for the Rams, and it continues to keep their window open enough because what they would have done at quarterback, who knows? Would it have been Aaron Rodgers? Would they have gone to the retread? Would they have been forced to, reach and take like a Jackson Dart in the end of the first round? Because I think they had the 26th pick of the draft.
Which you'd have to at that point in time because by the time that came back around,
and
you're probably Ewers and Dart are probably both gone.
Yeah, because you would have probably had to, if anything, you would have traded back, done one of those. All right, we're going to drop down to 29th.
Yeah.
If he's still there, we'll drop down and kind of gauge what teams ahead of you are doing. Try to get him in the first pick of the second round if you can potentially do that. But now that clears the deck so they can draft what they desperately need, which is an offensive tackle. You can go offensive line now in the first round, and it solidifies. Now we'll see all the other dominoes start to fall, right, on where all the other quarterbacks go, because we've heard it. There were reports out of New York. SNY was reporting that they were the Giants were putting all their eggs into the Matthew Stafford basket and saying, we need a quarterback and Stafford is the guy that we think can get it done.
In worst case scenario, you force somebody else to pony up in the Rams to pay their quarterback. If you don't think NFL teams are doing that when these kind of situations come up, like, yes, they're very interested in a guy, but they also want to make sure that nobody else is getting a deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, New York Post is reporting that there was a $100 million flirtation with Matthew Stafford from the Giants.
2-year 100. I can see it.
50 million. Well, that's what he was wanting. He was wanting $50 million a year, and they were saying, "We'll give that to you. We'll party up with that." And he's ending up going back and going to the Rams. Now, is he going to get $50 million? All the reports were that the Rams were saying, "Dude, we're not going to give you 50, but
45,
we'll work with you if you have that third year option on his deal. If you go 2 years at $40 million a piece, and then the third year option is say, all right, he's still got it. You get 120 instead of 130, or instead of 150 over those years, but you're still getting $120 million, buddy.
And getting that guarantee year on the year 2, I think, is the part that probably mattered the most.
It's all guaranteed money. Yeah. Like $4 million this year. He's 37. He gets hurt and he gets no money. No, we knew that something was coming this year, and now Stafford is going to be in LA under a new deal. I don't know what. Now that Stafford goes back, you look forward to, all right, what did the Rams do? Or not, what do the Raiders do? What do the Giants do? What do the Jets do? And now all of those dominoes can start to fall, because of all of those teams, if you include the Rams into it needing a quarterback and Stafford were to go elsewhere, obviously the Rams are the most attractive of any of those. They, whether it's coaching, culture, weapons, in win now, all of the other quarterbacks were just kind of circling for, is LA an option? We heard Rodgers' name thrown in there as a potential guy. We heard Sam Darnold as a potential quarterback in LA with the Rams. Now Stafford is staying. Now the Raiders, now the Jets and the Giants, they go to work with what do they need to do in the draft? What do they need to do in free agency? Yeah, Saints weren't good. Saints don't have any money.
No, I say just the quarterback needy teams and the Titans.
The Titans are interesting because outside of a few mock drafts I have Cam Ward, it's like maybe they'll go with the
best player available,
Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell they do?
It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
Yeah. What do you want the Raiders to do now that that flirtation is done?
Well, while I'm bummed, I like the idea of Stafford. Like, it's the best possible bridge quarterback you could have. I definitely want nothing to do with Russ or Justin Fields. Want nothing to do with them.
Jameis?
Ooh. I wouldn't be opposed to that if that's where they went as far as a bridge quarterback.
He'd be fun.
At bare minimum, yeah. Even though he is just YOLO all the time, you just kind of know that. And the other guys, they're just not functional quarterbacks.
You want your list of free agent quarterbacks right now?
Oh, hit me with the Dooms list.
Your free agent quarterbacks are Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones,
God no,
Cooper Rush, Mac Jones,
oh God no,
Mason Rudolph,
God no,
Joe Flacco,
no,
Jameis Winston, Justin Fields,
God no,
Jacoby Brissett, Drew Lock, Tyler Hunt. Oh, nothing when I said Drew Lock. Drew Lock in a Raider uniform.
No.
Think about him rapping Jeezy in a Raiders unit.
Hell yeah. Silver and black would fit him. And he's athletic. He could run around with Chip Kelly.
Got a hot girlfriend.
You got
that screams Raiders.
Snoop Huntley.
Yeah, no.
Marcus Mariota and Chip reuniting.
You don't want Pro Bowler Snoop Huntley?
No, I'm good.
All right. Trey Lance, does that do it for you?
Sweet Jesus, no.
Josh Dobbs, the Pastronaut.
God, no.
Tim Boyle.
All right, so Jackson Dart, come on down.
Bring back Jimmy Garoppolo.
Did you say Mike White yet?
He's still available somewhere, probably. And then Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and
This is such a bad list at the bottom.
So bad.
Trace McSorley did just sign.
It's not great at the top either.
No.
It's Sam, and that's pretty much it.
Sam Darnold wouldn't work in Vegas.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying as far as like functional quarterbacks, like that's pretty much the list.
Yeah. Yep. That's why. And then Aaron Rodgers, who isn't on that list because he technically is a post June 1 designation, so he isn't on that list, but he's available. So I mean, Aaron Rodgers,
I'd be fine with Aaron. I know everyone's like, oh, Aaron, crazy. I don't care. Like, give me a level of functionality at quarterback that none of those other guys can have.
A brain behind the line of scrimmage. Oh boy. That's a really bad but look, it always is in the NFL. Good quarterbacks don't hit free agency. No. That's why Matthew Stafford was such a big deal.
Yeah, that's why if you're the Raiders, you go take a trip to Montana and you go try to see if you can make it happen.
And that is exactly why people will, like, you're sitting there going, yeah, I'll talk myself into 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers here. Because it's bleak once you get past that. Daniel Jones, the more and more that the reporters there in Indianapolis are talking, he is a name that people are actually talking about and saying, you know, a team may give him another shot because it wasn't wholly Daniel Jones.
They think it's a Baker Mayfield situation.
It was
maybe
no weapons, horrific offensive line, a coach that, and I love Brian Daboll. Mm-hmm. I think him not getting fired, actually don't mind.
Yeah.
Because he can be a good play caller and is a good play caller. He has that pedigree. We saw it in Buffalo. We see it in his first year when they had a competent offensive line, and without a running game, with only one target on the outside in a bad offensive line, they're saying it might not have been a total Daniel Jones situation. He was just the guy that got blamed because of the contract that he got and the decisions that were made by the front office.
I will say, though, he has made some of the most egregious throws in the NFL in the past 3 years.
See Will Levis.
Yeah.
See Will Levis.
I mean, those two guys have made throws that have just made you go, what the hell was that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really bad.
Like, when you talk about the worst possible throws you can make as a quarterback in the NFL, like, those two guys top the chart.
Yeah. And panic, man. Panic is when you think of all of these quarterbacks that make those throws and those decisions. We talk about this with the mental clock, right? Your quarterback is sitting there going, okay, my offensive line is not holding up. I need to get rid of the ball. It gets quicker and quicker the more and more you get touched up. With Daniel Jones, you see it all the time. With Will Levis, it was, can't take a sack. This is going to kill the drive. Mm-hmm. Try to get rid of the ball. It's like, don't actually try to complete the pass, though.
Throw it away.
Turf it.
Yeah.
Get the ball out. And Will Levis had 3 of those this past year where you're going,
2 immediate pick sixes.
That is the worst decision you could have possibly made. Pressure makes a coward out of every quarterback, and you saw it with both those guys. So I don't know what's going to be the fate of Daniel Jones or any of these quarterbacks, but I think the fit and the roster readiness is going to play a massive role for all of those guys. As what we know right now, though, Matthew Stafford, he locked up. He's going to be a Los Angeles Ram in a restructured deal. He had 2 years remaining, $4 million guaranteed this year, no money guaranteed in 2026. You're probably going to see that get extended out for the 37-year-old, and the Rams going to run it back with Stafford. At the Combine, though, the quarterbacks are doing their interviews today, though, and they're going to get all measured up. Shedeur Sanders took the podium.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked to Shedeur before. Wasn't great.
What he said is getting applauded widely. But when you think about it and you look at, he says it, history repeats itself. I don't know if it landed the way that a lot of people think it did. We'll get to that after Will with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on the Fan, it's a big weekend in college hoops. The Oregon Ducks, they host the USC Trojans Saturday afternoon in Eugene. Ducks are going for their 21st win on the season. USC is nowhere near that win total. Tip-off scheduled for 1 p.m. You can listen to that game here on 1080 The Fan. Then later on that night, the Pilots have their final game of the regular season before the start of the WCC tournament next week. Right now, they're down in San Diego taking on the Toreros. San Diego has the worst record in the WCC, just 4 wins on the year. Tip-off is at 7, and that game can also be heard here on 1080 The Fan. In the NFL, the Rams and Matt Stafford agreed to a restructured contract that's going to keep the QB in L.A. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts.
Dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same.
Shedeur Sanders hit the podium today, along with all the other quarterbacks at the NFL Draft Combine. And Shedeur, one of the top quarterback prospects, depending on where you look, number 1 or number 2. And I don't think that anybody's going to disagree with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders going 1 or 2. It's just some people have their preference on which one is number 1. I think it's more widely accepted now, though. Cam Ward is the number 1 guy. And that's what I think. And you're seeing a lot of the draft evaluators, few now have him as Shedeur as number one. But he's still going to get drafted very highly. And we know the Sanders family, they're not afraid of a microphone. They never have been.
No.
They never will be. And Shedeur took the podium today and was asked a bunch of questions, including, his readiness to take the heat that will be there when he is an NFL quarterback.
If you ain't trying to change the franchise or the culture, don't give me. So you should know history repeats itself over and over and over, and I've done it over and over and over, so it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me. You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people got to say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too. So it's like it's almost normal. Without people hating, it's not normal for us. So we like the adversity. We like everything that comes with the name. That's why we are who we are.
On the surface, that's a great response.
Yeah, no, it is.
To responding to the critics. When you have a little bit of history of the way his dad handled critics, doesn't land the way that that many are making it out to be. Do you remember when Deion threw a bucket of ice water on Tim McCarver in the clubhouse of the Atlanta Braves? Because Tim McCarver was unfair to him, was a hater, was a critic.
Tim McCarver also not even probably, he deserves basically everything he gets in that regard.
Yeah, but you know who didn't ever throw ice water on any other reporter? Any other guy in professional sports?
No.
Deion, I highlight McCarver because that one was like out in the open. And McCarver did owe Deion an apology.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But for Shedeur to be like, oh, we handle this stuff perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's
Deion. That was one of many missteps of Deion.
Maybe not perfectly.
Handling the haters.
I think that the handling of the haters is if I'm being generous in his definition, it's about the performance. Like, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't play baseball with Deion. He's too loud, he's too brash, he's too this. He's one of the best corners to ever play the game and one of the best athletes in the history of American sports.
Yeah, he is.
So
he is.
In that vein, I think Shedeur, it lands
good. But they didn't handle the haters well. And he's going to get a lot of it. And I think the questions that he's being asked, they are valid.
Sure.
On what they're going to be getting with him, because his dad has been there as the head coach every step of the way, from high school to Jackson State to Colorado.
Trying to put him in the best possible position in light to be himself.
And he is
on and off the field
a phenomenal athlete and quarterback. He is. I mean, he's not a Lamar Jackson athlete, but he's a top 1% athlete in the world.
This is not,
he is an incredible football player.
This is not nepotism this is not Bronny James.
No, it is not.
It is not Bronny James. There's nowhere even close. I've seen some people like, well, if it wasn't his dad. I'm like, no, if it wasn't his dad, he'd still be a first-round NFL draft pick.
Yes.
Like, don't get it twisted.
I love the fact that Deion loves his kids to the extent that he does. And I love the fact that
to the point of ranking them.
His kids, yeah, right. His kids want to go with him to these places. I also think, though, that with Shedeur Sanders, there is almost an element of, if his dad wasn't his head coach, there may be a question that he would be the number one quarterback in this draft. Because he would be able to shine, and he would have gotten some. Now, I'm not to say that Deion didn't have tough coaching on him, but correcting some of the question marks that Shedeur has, there wasn't that correction. We've heard this. We've talked about this all the time, right? Everybody else got criticized, got coached like every college athlete does, except for the Sanders boys. Because there were coaches that were on staff that were afraid to dress down Shedeur and Shiloh because of what Deion might say, right?
Yes, and let's say his name is Shedeur Smith, and he plays at a Group of 4 school. Let's not even put him at Texas or Michigan or Ohio State. Let's put him at Wisconsin. Do you think he was going to be?
No, because Wisconsin doesn't have good quarterbacks.
Hey, they had Russ. They had Russ. But you understand what I'm saying? Let's put him on.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Put him on a tier below. But clearly a program that is a tier plus above Colorado.
Yes,
he's the number one pick probably in this draft.
There would be
a real conversation.
It would be a lot different discussion.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because you wouldn't see him probably holding onto the ball as much. You probably wouldn't see him take as many sacks. You'd probably see him with better structure around him. And I'm not saying that to take away from Deion, because Deion, for all of his warts and all the stuff that he probably got wrong in year one, they pushed forward into year two. They got better.
Well, he took over an absolute dumpster of a program.
It was one of the worst programs in major college football.
And now
they
are functional.
Yes. And
it'll be interesting to see how functional they are without Travis Hunter and without Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. But their defense may get better without Shiloh.
Ouch. Underwear. I have to mention this. Underwear Olympics are going on right now in the NFL Combine.
Oh.
We just had somebody break a 4.3. Maxwell Hairston of Kentucky, a 6'1", 190-pound corner, just ran a 4.29, and basically the whole place ran to him and celebrated.
I was looking at the kind of the analytic projections where they based on like the tracking data of how their top end speed in games, what they have 40s that are known. We could see more guys under 4.4 in this combine than ever before, and there's so many more. Like the analytics guys are like, we have a bunch of 4.30 guys that if they hit it right, we could see multiple guys running under 4.3 this combine.
The Bond kid out of Texas says that he can beat Worthy.
Yeah, he's gonna go faster than Xavier Worthy.
Imagine
Isaiah Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks
said
he
he's
can
gonna
beat
he
Worthy.
said he's gonna beat his record. Yeah.
Doggy.
Yeah. That's fast. Dude, I don't think people realize how fast 4.29 is in the 40.
It's I mean, you that is quite literally Olympic speed.
No.
No, in the 40. In the 40 it is.
Yeah.
Not in 100.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
Like they said Usain Bolt would have run like a 3.79 40 or something.
Well,
4.3
in his sweats he ran a 4.3, I think.
Without warming up and in trainers. Yeah. Without training for it.
But this is also the fastest man in the history of man.
Yeah. Yeah. These guys are friggin' quick. It's nuts to watch how good these athletes are. All right. Hey, we've got a suspension in the National Basketball Association coming out of last night's action. We'll get to that. And then at top of the hour, we will have Brooke Olzendam joining us. Brooke, Heart Your Heart. But right now, you can win a 4-pack of tickets to the Portland Winterhawks game against the Seattle Thunderbirds Friday, March 7th at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. You got to text HAWKS right now to 503-864-6326. Text HAWKS to 503-864-6326 right now for a chance to enter to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Portland Winterhawks game against the Seattle Thunderbirds next Friday at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Head over to 1080thefan.com for complete contest details. That is HAWKS to 503-864-6326.
Check out the
I looked up the Usain Bolt. In his prime, there are projections that he could have run in. And now this is back when he was running, 9.58 100 meter dashes.
A number that will literally never be touched.
He was always known he wasn't the best starter, right? With that taken into account, projections are he could have topped out at a 3.6 second 40-yard dash,
which is so disgustingly fast.
It is. And if you're saying, then no way, maybe that is the projection of if he hits it perfectly, that's what it could have been.
He's still a sub 4. If he's 3.6, he's sub 4.
I will put this to you. A year and a half after retiring from sprinting, so he was no longer training. He went to the NFL Fan Experience, and Will mentioned he thought it was a 4.3. No, in sweatpants and tennis shoes, a year and a half into retirement, he ran a 4.22 40. A 4.22 in sweats and tennis shoes, not warm, not like doing a full warm up, not in training for sprinting. He ran a 4.22.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a guy that would have had a legitimate chance at clocking a sub 4.40.
Not a good starter though. Not good out of the blocks.
That's just.
Well, he's 6'5", so every stride is like 2 for normal sprinters.
Yeah, it's just
he was crazy.
I don't think as humans, progress and evolution takes hold. Certainly, somebody could.
Yeah,
but I think this is one of those things. He's that one in every couple billion that. And the thing about running is, it doesn't matter kind of where you come from or what your economic stance is. If you were that fast, you'll just pop up wherever you are. And, you see him like around the world come Olympic time. You're like, who's this guy? Like from, name tiny nation here. If you're that fast, you'll be found. And it's like, it's nuts when you think about just how truly fast that is.
Yeah, they're crazy. And to think like we're sitting there saying, yeah, these times will never be touched. 9.7, I think it was 9.79 or 9.73 won the gold medal in the Olympics or this past Olympics. That is a mile. Like
it's nowhere close.
9.58 is so much faster than that.
Not even close, man.
A tenth of a second is a lot.
Yeah. I remember when Usain Bolt won a gold medal, he literally did it slowing down, looking around, laughing.
Yeah. I loved Usain Bolt. He was great. Ant Edwards has been suspended. He picked up his 16th technical foul of the season last night.
Yeah,
the Rasheed Wallace rule.
He was at 14 heading into that game, and I was listening to the guys on the Hoop Collective. This is something that they monitored with Draymond and Luka over the last couple of years, as far as like, I got to make sure you don't get this out of the way because you pick up a tech in the playoffs and you're going to end up getting suspended. Ant's already there with 20 plus games to go.
Yeah, so he's got 17 on the season now? What?
He should only have 16.
Yeah, I think he only has 16. This team rankings.
He shouldn't be at 7. Unless he picked up 1 and then picked up 2 last night.
Let me check this out. Yeah, he's at 16.
Yeah.
Next closest is, this will be a surprise to nobody. There's a tie for second. Can you guess 2 of the 3 people that are tied for second in technical fouls?
Luka can't be up there because he hasn't played enough.
No, he's not.
So
Luka Doncic is 10th with 7.
He's still there. I'll say Dylan and Draymond.
Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green. Yeah, tied with Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Each have they each have 11 technical fouls.
What the hell is KCP doing?
I don't know. Dylan Brooks though, if you're looking for bang for your buck, Draymond Green has played 1,278 minutes and has 11 technical fouls.
Mm-hmm.
Kentavious Caldwell Pope has played 500 more minutes than Draymond Green this year, and he has 11. Dylan Brooks has played 600 more minutes than Draymond Green and also has 11 technical fouls. Draymond's done it in 45 games. Dylan Brooks in 56 games. KCP in 58.
KCP being on that is wild.
Yeah. 11
He's not a guy like, I mean, Draymond and Dylan are both, and I use this word specifically, dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Like they earn those techs 100%.
Ooh.
KCP, That's weird.
The only other guy in double digits in the NBA,
Hmm.
Trae Young.
Not surprising. That guy whines endlessly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just chirping all of the time. But I also get it because he's like 5'11", 6 foot tall, and he has to do something. Otherwise, he just gets bullied.
I'm noticing a trend here because KCP in Orlando now, right? If you look at the top 20, you have 1, 2, 3 members of the Orlando Magic in the top 20.
Who else is there for
Cole
Magic?
Anthony,
Cole,
and then Goga
Bitadze. Yeah, no, Goga
Goga
definitely
Bitadze.
chirps. And Cole, I think he picked up a couple. Cole definitely talks, but I think he picked up some for diving at people's feet. I think he ended up getting a T for that.
And then you have Wendell Carter at 25th. So they got 4 of the top 25 are in Orlando.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Wendell's not a guy that picks up many T's either.
Yeah, another sneaky team on this list. None are near the top, but you have Cade Cunningham in Detroit at 20th.
Yeah, Cade talks.
You have Malik Beasley at 15th.
Okay, Malik talks. Yeah,
Dennis Schroeder at 14th.
That's not surprising at all.
And Isaiah Stewart is 6th.
Yeah, Stu likes to fight. That's not surprising at all.
Well, I think that, but
Stu is their version of Draymond in the sense of like he not only is he out there like his teammates love him, but he is out there as an enforcer. Like Steph Curry has maybe taken 2 hard fouls in his entire career because Draymond Green exists. I'm dead serious. It's something in the group chat that it's come up before. It's like one of the most intrinsic values of Draymond Green is that Steph Curry has never been hit.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like nobody's ever hard fouled Steph Curry because Draymond will knock you out. Isaiah Stewart is very much in that same vein.
You talk about reputations though, and what officials look for. Obviously, you see Detroit and Orlando; they've got that rep.
Yeah, I think it also comes with being big physical teams too.
Yeah.
Or I mean, those are 2 of the biggest teams in the league. Portland's right there, but Portland doesn't have anybody who talks.
Nobody in the top 25. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's that problem. We need a run your mouth guy.
Yeah.
Who's the run your mouth guy?
2.
But
It's 2. Oh,
but he doesn't. He does
it very.
Is not boisterous.
He does it quietly.
Yeah, but he's not boisterous in the way that he does it. We need it.
Not yet.
We need bring Sheed back.
Denny definitely. Denny's more whiny.
Yeah, I don't like that.
But he's also a guy that will talk.
Yeah.
But those are the 2 guys that, you know who I could actually see getting to this list? Donovan.
I can see that. I like that.
He's a red ass.
Just give more time out there.
Yeah. I want like he's gotten close a couple different times where I've seen him kind of like pop his shoulders up at a guy like, you want to go?
Yep.
And I'm like, ooh, I like seeing that.
All right, let's go to Brooklyn. She hearts your heart, and she's on the sidelines for the Trailblazers broadcast. Brooke Olzendam joins us. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
You
from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, despite rumors that he may be moving on from the team, Matt Stafford and the LA Rams have agreed to a restructured contract that's going to keep the QB in LA. There's still no word yet on the full terms of the deal. The New York Giants thought they had a shot at signing Matt Stafford. They could now be pivoting over to Aaron Rodgers for their open QB position. Rodgers is a free agent after being released by the Jets after 2 disappointing seasons with the team. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080. The Fan.
The ultimate basketball party. This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader, 1080. The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Friday afternoon. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. Whether it is on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, or youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Thanks for partying along with us. We bring on now a woman who hearts your heart. You see her on the sidelines every Trailblazers basketball game on K2. Brooke Olzendam joining us. Hi, Brooke.
Hello, my friends. How are you guys?
Great. How's Brooklyn treating you?
Well, you know what, Dusty? Insider info. We are not staying in Brooklyn. We're staying in Manhattan, so I have not yet been to Brooklyn. But whenever I do get there tonight, I'm sure it'll treat me right.
How's Manhattan treating you, Brooke?
There you go. It's treating me well. Well, actually, I had a fumble at the beginning of this road trip, which I never do, but I put up like some of my suits and I hung them up in my closet, figuring out what I was going to wear, kind of like trying to figure it out the whole week, and I left a bunch of them in my closet in Utah. So,
no.
Yes. So unfortunately, I had to do a little shopping today, but not a bad place to have to do some shopping, Manhattan. So I was extremely successful.
How does this happen? How do you retrieve those outfits, though? Or does the city of Utah or the city of Salt Lake just own those now?
That's a good question. John, our guy that runs our travel, I've actually known him for decades. He was Indiana Pacers as well, so I've known him for a long time. And so I had my tail between my legs, and I texted him. I was like, John, how you doing? Of course I'm calling for I did something, but, you still have to start off with, like, how's it going? What's new in your life? Okay, what I did wrong was. And I told him, and he got me in touch. He's got, like, a bunch of employees that kind of run the show, so he was very kind. He didn't say, well, I got married. I was like, oh, congratulations. Now about my suit. So he's tracking them down, and I'll get them when I get home, which is just fine. And I'm very, very appreciative because I was so mad at myself.
Now we're watching the game tonight. Everybody will know that Brooke is wearing a brand new outfit that she definitely did not overpay for by being in Manhattan.
Nah.
Not
absolutely not.
I bet she's
honestly, head to toe is new. Even the shoes are new.
Oh, look at that.
It went from an oh no to oh no.
Exactly.
Hey, this is year 6 of Brooke Hearts Your Heart. And you started this in February of 2020. And now you guys this year have shattered the goal. The goal this year was $10,000. You guys have raised, I'm looking at the website right now, $21,317.87 for Brooke Hearts Your Heart. This year alone, that puts you over, you guys are nearing $150,000 for the American Heart Association. Blazer fans has showed up and showed out for Brooke Hearts Your Heart, but we still have one more day in February left. We need to get this push a little bit more. What are people donating for, and what can they get? Because it's not just a money donation that you can get either.
Well, thank you so much for asking. So you can go to trailblazers.com/heart, and there, if you'd like to donate, you can do that right there. It doesn't take very long. It's like a couple minutes. If you're so inclined, I would be so grateful. And if you'd like to, there's not a ton left, but there are some hats and pins. You can bundle those up, or you can just get a hat or a pin. And those proceeds also can go to American Heart Association. Shout out Rip City Clothing for helping me out with that every year. And our creative team. I love the pin this year. It's, we've done bigger things in the past, like the scarf and the knit hat and all that. But the pin is really cool because I've seen a lot of people walking around Moda, and they come up, say hi, and they have the pin on the scarf or the pin on the hat. So that's been a fun thing this year. But yeah, go to trailblazers.com/heart. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has donated. It's been humbling. I'm so grateful. Every year I'm like, are we going to be able to do it again? Are we going to be able to do it again? I have a nervous attack, like, just because everyone's always so generous in the past. I'm like, are they going to donate it again? Are we going to get there? And like you said, Rip City shows up and shows out. And I just want to say thank you to so many people who have donated and got the hat and the pin, or either or, and just been a part of this. Because to answer your question, Jesse, like I said, the proceeds go to American Heart Association. What they do there is obviously a ton of research, so we can try to nip this stuff in the bud. Because everyone knows someone in their family and friend group or themselves that have dealt with a heart issue. It strikes everyone in some way or form. So to be able to research this and try to help people just be aware of their health, their heart health, that's huge too. I've had so many people come up to me and say, I went and got checked, and I made some lifestyle changes from it. To the extreme of a friend of mine, I've talked about this before, whose sister, she went and watched that video of Lamar and I think from the first year, talking about how my husband was like very exhausted after cardio, especially running. And that was because his poor heart was working overtime, like 90% harder than an average human, to get the blood flow to his heart. And so she sent that video to her sister, who was very fit, and she said it resonated with her because her sister would get extremely tired after running. Sister went and got checked out. The next week was an emergency heart surgery, and just saved her life. So it's stories like that just bring me back to this every year. Like, we got to go strong. We got to do it again. If it just reaches one person, like it did in that story, or little life changes, it's worth it. So it's been incredible.
I have ordered the hat and pin.
Oh,
I
thank you.
just got the bundle. We are supporting the cause right now, Brooke. We got it.
I really appreciate that. You guys are the best. Thanks for having me on too to talk about it.
No, Brooke, we always want to have you on no matter what, but especially this time of year, because what you do is important. And you mentioned one person, but you guys have showcased people on the road that have also had these experiences and the changes that it can make. And it's the awareness. And we hear this with all kinds of things, and it's the awareness, but it really is, it's the awareness part of this. And we love that you're willing to come on and talk about, why you did this. And it's not just that it's something you think needs to happen. It's because you were affected by it. And that's I think the most important thing, in the sense of, like, you have a real connection to this, and you genuinely care about people. So we want to make sure that those opportunities are there for you. Like Brooke mentioned, if you want to, you can go to trailblazers.com/heart. Dusty and I both, we want to make sure we get this out there. We'll put it up on socials. If you're not around right now, it'll be there when we get done. But, well, sorry, my voice completely went there. I want to pivot for just a second, because we haven't had a chance to talk to you because you're obviously out on the road. Shaedon Sharpe did something disgusting the other night, and you got a chance to talk to him, and you asked him to kind of walk him through it. How insane is it to have him walk you through an athletic play that ridiculous and make it seem like it was nothing?
Because for him, like, China is nothing. You know what I mean? It's wild. You're right. But to have him walk me through it was funny, because he was very matter of fact. Shaedon, not too high, not too low, and he's just explaining it matter of factly, as if it was just. And then I didn't think I could get there. I made a decision, and while I was in the air, and then my favorite part was at the end. He kind of stopped for a second, and then goes, and it went in.
And it went in.
He really described it to a T.
It is. How do you handle these? Because oftentimes, when I do the sideline reporting for the Ducks, you have a player who says something so nonchalantly, and in my mind, I'm going, normal people can't do that, right? So when Shaedon Sharpe is sitting there going, I thought I jumped too early, and then I'm in the air thinking, no, I think I got this, and then I just reached out and did it. I was just sitting there going, I oftentimes linger in the air long enough to have multiple thoughts run through my head.
It's wild to me, the pure athleticism from him. And, I was so glad that he was, so obviously honest. But when I asked him, I said, the internet, social media has it as your best. A lot of people believe it's your best one in game. And I love that he was just like, yeah, sometimes people can be like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. But he was like, yeah, I think it was my best one. And who can answer that question better than the person himself? So I think we can all together say without a doubt that was his best in-game dunk. I will add, though, he was going through his legs in warm-up. So that should have been a sign that it was going to be a big night for him.
Where is your favorite spot to be in the action? Because the other night you were center court, sitting behind the scorer's table. You got a lot of camera time. You got a lot of camera time in that game. And that was a topic of discussion in our house. Is we were watching that game, and Lindsay said, does Brooke like being right there? Where is your favorite spot to take in the game as a sideline?
That's kind of twofold. That's so funny. Like, so many people have said that to me. And then the number one complaint I have about it is that I can't eat my popcorn in the fourth quarter like I normally do. I always go to maybe your dining room and get popcorn at halftime. I was like, I can't eat popcorn. I'm going to be caught red-handed. So, but to the view of that, I mean, you can't, there's no better seat in the house. So if you're on my side watching the game, I would always choose that seat. But on the flip side, you got to make sure, you just got to be aware that you're going to be on camera a lot. And it's funny because I sit right next to Rasan and Maggie, who are our PR staff for the team. And no one hates being on camera more than Maggie. I was like, Maggie, just so you know, you're going to be a star of the show tonight. At one point, I don't know if anybody noticed, but she was right. It was me and her right on. And so I picked up she was trying to lean out of the shop, but she couldn't. So I put my notepad in front of her face. Like, is this helpful? So that one is great for viewing the game. I'll tell you, it couldn't be more opposite in Washington, and their PR staff laughs about it. They're always very apologetic, but because they, I guess, fail, I don't know what it is, but they have us, and it's been like this since I started. You're walking towards the tunnel, and instead of walking through the tunnel, there are a set of stairs that go up to a perch, and it's like it's like isolated. It's not like attached to any of the seats. It's just a perch up there, and everyone's hit their head on it numerous times, including myself. Shocked that no one has fallen down those stairs, especially in heels. So it was funny. We're like, this is crazy. And then I looked over, and the only people that were placed there were Fernando, who runs our social, Casey Holdall, me, and Maggie. And I'm like, isn't it interesting? There's no other their employees up here on this dangerous perch. But that one's probably one of the crazier ones. You kind of have a weird angle, but they're pretty. Arenas are really great. They know you got to be close to the team. And obviously, I'm going to go down and do a hit on the floor, so they do their best to get you to as close as they can to your own bench. So there's really not a bad seat in the house. But yes, I got a lot of camera time that night. I got a lot of texts about it. I was like, I'm sorry. That's where Chauncey stands most of the time. So it was just came with the territory.
Well, speaking of Tales from the Road, you are, and forgive me for this, notoriously somebody who gets cold.
Yes,
is there an arena in the NBA that is even remotely comfortable for you from a temperature standpoint?
You know what, Brooklyn tonight is not bad. I actually have noticed the temperature in that by far, and I've talked about it before. New Orleans is just the coldest, and that's what I said. It's ironic because that's where they give you a Smoothie King Arena. So I always give it mine to Casey. I'm like, I can't. I would love to. I can't. I'm already freezing. So I'd say tonight, Brooklyn overall. Isn't that funny that I know the temperature of that's a perfect question for me because I'm very well aware of the temperature in every arena. So Brooklyn is kind of has an intimate vibe to it. Like what do they call it? Like theater lighting, where everything looks dark around, and then the spotlight is right on the court. I mean, I think they're still doing that. That's how it's always been since I've been going there and working there. So I kind of have an intimate feel too. I really like it. It's one of my favorite arenas, kind of out of left field, I guess, but it is. I really like it, and it's warmer. So to answer your question, Danny, it's not too bad today. I'm going to be okay.
We have a text on the Vancouver Ford text line about you getting scared by mascots. Do you have a truce? Is the truce intact still with all the mascots in the league?
Well, I talked about this earlier this year or was it last year? Probably all done together. Pierre the Pelican, we had an on-camera truce in which he wrote out a whole thing on a big piece of cardboard and said, I promise to not scare Brooke anymore. Or this is Rumble the Bison, excuse me. They all run together. Rumble the Bison, who he asked for a truce, and then he gave me this cute little miniature Rumble the Bison stuffed animal. It seemed very sweet. I signed on my side, he'd signed his, so I thought there was a truce intact. It was, there were witnesses. And then the next game, scares the crap out of me. I was like, what happened to our truth? And I know you guys didn't see this, but when we were in Utah, my walk-off interview, as soon as I stepped back, let the player walk around, the Jazz Bear got me. It was off camera, so nobody saw. But I'm like, geez, now we're doing post-game scares. I can't get away from this. But it's been the whole thing. Everybody knows about it, and I will take one for the team every time. And people are like, "Are you really getting scared?" I'm like, "No, trust me. I don't know how to act. I can't. It is truly coming from my soul."
I can vouch for this.
Yes.
Brooke
Yes, you can.
scares very easily. Those are natural reactions.
I've
when
walked up
nobody's-
behind her and been like, "Hey, Brooke," and she's jumped at me. And I'm like, "It's just me."
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about me. I don't think I want to know.
Somebody's unpacking this right now. There's a psychologist listening going, I got this.
He's taking a break from me to psychoanalyze you.
I can nail this right now. But all right, road trip is continuing. And then after tonight, it really ramps up and you start seeing some really good opponents throughout the rest of the way. What have you seen that has impressed you the most about this roster from the growth standpoint? Because a season like this, it can be hard, especially when there's a majority of the fan base that wants this team not to win games, and they're continuing to play hard and they're winning games.
Which I just love. I'm here for it. I love the thought of the play-in. I think it gives me something really to play for. And the team is, the energy that they bring, and obviously we talk so much, and rightfully so, about Tumani and, Denny when he's going downhill. It's just, they're a fun team when everything's clicking, and you just never know. Like, you could see a win that you didn't see coming. They've been keeping them close. Obviously, they've won a couple in a row. They're just a fun team to watch, and there's so many different personalities and different, different guys in the way they play that, you root for all of them individually, but then of course you root for them as a team. I can understand the part of the fan base that I definitely can understand wanting to get a higher pick in the draft. That always makes sense to me. But at this point, I just really like what they're building, and so why not continue just to see where that goes and continue to fight for something, and that would be that playing spot. And these guys are competitors. That's what they want. The coaching staff as well. So I'm here for it. I love watching them night in and night out. I think they work really hard. They put a lot of time and effort into it, and we've been seeing that over these last 20 games or so. So, yeah, I'm here for trying to get to that play, and I think it would be so much fun. What a fun story, for the season.
All right, we know that you were busy. We appreciate you taking time for us. You had to go get a new outfit today. Now you got to start your pregame preparations that get going
Got something to look forward to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
What's Brooke wearing?
Yeah, what's Brooke wearing?
We'll revisit it on tonight's show too.
Look, Brooke in Brooklyn has got a ring to it.
That sounds like a reality show.
It sounds like
Brooklyn in Brooklyn.
Yeah, what's Brooke wearing in Brooklyn? And we're gonna find out tonight. Brooke, thank you so much for the time, and thank you for doing Brooke Heart Your Heart, because it's not just a great fundraiser for the American Heart Association, but it makes an impact for the people in our community as well. So go to trailblazers.com/heart, where you can donate straight up. Any amount helps, or you can go buy a hat and pin in the bundle and support the American Heart Association and Brooke Olzendam as well. Thank you so much, Brooke.
Guys, thank you so much. You're always such great supports of this during this month and of the foundation, so I appreciate always you guys having me on it so I can talk about it. And yeah, I love it. Final push, last day of February, so thank you again to everyone who's donated and plans to. It means a lot to me.
Have a great call tonight, Brooke.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Brooke.
All right, there she is, Brooke Olzendam, Portland Trailblazers sideline reporter. Again, Brooke Heart Your Heart. Go to blazers.com/heart, and you can donate, or you can buy a hat and pin as well. So awesome. And it's great to see the support that Rip City shows her every single year, going over $20,000 this season alone. All right, he's been shut down. It's official. Next on The Fan.
Hello, sports fan.
Wu-Tang is for the children.
Right now is your chance to win a pair of tickets to Wu-Tang Clan with Run the Jewels July 1st, 2025 at Moda Center. Text KIDS to 503-864-6326. That's KIDS to 503-864-6326 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to Wu-Tang Clan with Run the Jewels July 1 at Moda Center. Head to 1080thefan.com for complete contest details. KIDS, KIDS to 503-864-6326. All right, it has been done. The 76ers have officially shut down Joel Embiid. Their statement says the 76ers and Joel Embiid have been consulting with top specialists regarding ongoing issues with his left knee. After further evaluation, it has been determined that he is medically unable to play, will miss the remainder of the season to focus on treatment and rehabilitation. Oh boy, they're working with medical experts to determine the next plan.
It's not even just medical experts. They might as well call out, we've tried going to Stonehenge, voodoo, witch doctors, everything. One of the things that they were talking about doing that was on the table is osteopathy, if I remember right.
Yeah.
It's where they break your hip and reset your hip in a certain position to relieve pressure on the outside of your knee. I'm like, yes, breaking the hip of your 7'2", 350-pound big man certainly seems like a course of action you could take.
You could take it.
You're gonna purposefully break that man's hip? Are you out of your freaking mind?
Could theoretically you could,
but we all knew. Like, if you didn't know this was coming, I've got many bridges to sell you. You can look at when the press release came out. It was at 1:00 on the dot from the Philadelphia 76ers.
4:00 Eastern
on a Friday afternoon.
Friday news dump, folks.
I mean, this has been forecasted for weeks.
Are we looking at Bill Walton 2.0? A man who
MVP season
at his height was the most dominant big in the league. MVP Bill Walton had to reshape the way that he played.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit different in that Walton was still very injury prone, but his injuries started coming year 5 in the NBA.
Joel came in with them.
Joel missed the first 2 seasons of his career.
With a back and a foot.
But if you look at it, Joel Embiid has been in the NBA for 9 seasons. He has played 452 games. Bill Walton, in 10 seasons in the NBA, played 468 games.
Yes. Very, 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 very similar.
You think of
the
that.
The thing about Bill, though, is Bill was nowhere near the size of Joel Embiid.
No.
If you remember young Joel Embiid, he was much smaller. The sheer mass. Go look at Joel Embiid at Kansas. It looks like a different human. He has probably put 150 pounds on. And I'm not even kidding. He's probably put 150 pounds on since he came into the league.
That's crazy.
And don't get me wrong, he's got a little bit of weight on him in the sense of like maybe a little excess bounce, but he is built like a truck. Like when I talk about Donovan being one of the pure like mountains in the NBA, Embiid's bigger. Just sheer mass. Like when you stand next, every time Joel Embiid has come to Portland and I've just kind of stood next to him or like walked past him, I just kind of shake my head. It's like, oh my God, this man is enormous.
So in taking into Embiid's career, since he missed the first 2 years of his career, remember he was Rookie of the Year. He took 3rd in the Rookie of the Year voting in year 3 of him being in the league, because essentially his rookie year did not start until he actually played a game in the NBA. So he's actually been in the league for 11 seasons. This is his 11th year in the NBA, but he only tolls for 9. So in 11 years, he's played 452 games. And for Walton, he was in the league for 10 years and played 468. So they are actually eerily similar with the way that their careers have gone.
And they're both MVPs.
They're both MVPs. But will we see a career for Joel Embiid where does he go the route of a Bill Walton where he's not reliable as the guy who you build your franchise around and you say we can rely on him? Because that's what Philly has done. Everything that they've built around has been building around Joel Embiid. and the fact that if he's healthy, we are a championship contender. The back half of Bill Walton's career, when he won Sixth Man of the Year, and he was not nearly as productive or could move the way that he once did, he was a guy that would be a role player on a team. Do we ever see that? Because Embiid, the thing about the biggest difference is Bill Walton was just a guy that you didn't have to pay. Joel Embiid's going to be getting his money regardless.
Oh, yeah, it's guaranteed. He's going to be making $60+ million a year for the next 3 years.
That's an anchor.
4 years. Yeah, I mean it's there will be a team that talks themselves into it if they do opt out of that. There will be one team will, because I've mentioned this before. Joel Embiid, I've heard from multiple general managers over the years, came into the NBA with 3 legitimate red flags medically.
Mm-hmm.
One is usually enough to get you not knocked out of the draft, absolutely out of the first round. 2, you're out of the first round.
His talent was overwhelming.
That's the thing. Is like his talent was so overwhelming, it was insane. And I know I've mentioned this before too. If you told basically any general manager that if you took this guy 3rd overall and he would miss all the games he would miss, they'd still do it because the high-end talent is just that dominant.
Dang.
Because his production last year in his MVP season, it was the most points per minute in NBA history.
Yep. He is, in his career, never played 70 games.
Mm-hmm. What is his max? 66?
68.
68, okay.
He's played 68 once, 66, and that was 2021 and 2022-23. So that 21 season was the abbreviated season.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, and that was the 66 game season was the year he won the MVP. Outside of those two, he would not have a single year in his career that he qualifies for any of the awards.
And they basically made that rule because of guys like him.
Yeah. 65. And I think they looked at Embiid and said he played in 63, played in 64. Then he went 51. And then 51 was also a shortened season. But he just hasn't. The last couple of years, 39 games last year, 19 this year. That is not a good trend to see from the big man because his body is failing him right now.
Yeah, and as far as like the comparison to Bill Walton, where even beyond the money, the thing that doesn't translate well for me is somebody brings it up on the text line. It's probably why he's suffering injuries is because he is so big.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Oh, it is. And the difference is like Bill Walton was skinny, like so he could still move. Joel is not anywhere near, like he would have to probably lose 80 pounds for him to be remotely in that range.
Jeez.
Like you can go look at all the NBA listings of weight. I'm telling you, they're lying through their teeth.
He's listed at 280.
He's not. He's 350 pounds. He's just not. It was like Shaq being listed at 315. He was 425 pounds. Like when you see these, like when you see Donovan Clingan, who's 290 pounds, and Joel Embiid looks like he's 2 of him from front to back. It's not just how wide Joel is because he's wide enormously. It's front to back. He's a refrigerator. It's just crazy. And you look at that guy and you go, if his body is that broken, and the reason those guys play that big is because they just lean on you and they wear you down. That's because that's how they're so successful. Nurk did it. Shaq did it. Those guys that are just that big, that's how they play. And there's just no way you can deal with him. But if he's going to be productive throughout the rest of his career, he's probably got to lose 80 pounds. Which is insane to think about.
But that was the knock on him at the beginning of his career, is that they said, dude, you will not, before he ever played a game in the NBA, they said, you have got to lose weight or you will get hurt.
Yeah.
And that has reigned true throughout the entirety of his career.
Yeah, he's just like,
that's too bad, man.
It is, because you're probably like, he's going to have another knee surgery. Now, what it is,
yeah.
Like there's so many different paths they can take. I can tell you right now, the Sixers aren't going to be able to massage this one with talking about flaps of meniscuses.
No, this is way worse.
Way beyond that.
Look, it might be because of how they handled his injury last year is why he's in the position that he is this year.
The meniscectomy of trying to like play through it because they wanted to get him the MVP.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it. All right, coming up next, time for our worst day on the web, ladies and gentlemen. We have the theft of a golden toilet.
A what?
A golden toilet. We'll get into that and more. But first, here's Big Will Bets with the Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, it's a big weekend in college hoops. The Oregon Ducks are hosting the USC Trojans on Saturday afternoon in Eugene. Ducks are going for their 21st win on the year. Tip-off is scheduled for 1 p.m. That game can be heard here on 1080 The Fan. After that game, the Pilots have their final game of the regular season before they start the WCC tournament next week. They're down in San Diego taking on the Toreros. San Diego has the worst record in the WCC. Tip-off for that game is scheduled for 7, and that game can also be heard here on 1080 The Fan. Over in the NBA, the 76ers and Joel Embiid have announced the big man's NBA season is officially done. Embiid and the team are looking for a long-term solution to solve his knee issues. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Well, that sucks.
Lord knows if there's a high-end toilet out there, I'll find it. We did our was it our worst day on the web where we dove into the Japanese toilets that were out of control, like $10,000?
That's not out of control. Those are Ferraris for your bum.
Yeah. Well, here is gold for your bum. A solid gold toilet disappeared from the Blenheim Palace in 2019, and an arrest has been made.
Where is that?
It's in the UK.
Okay.
In Oxfordshire. So in the early hours of the 14th of September 2019, 2 days after it went on display, Michael Jones denies one count of burglary, and Fred Doe, apparently no relation to John, from Windsor, and a 41-year-old Bora Gukuk from West London both deny conspiring to transfer criminal property. If you're wondering, after they arrested this guy, how they kind of found out it's probably him, they did a quick Google search of his search history and found that he was doing searches around the robbery before it was public.
Oh, so he was like, before the police like went public and said the toilet has been stolen, he was like, has the toilet been stolen? Yeah, that'll get you. That's a dumb criminal right there. That's a grade A idiot criminal.
The court heard that hundreds of fragments of gold
Mac Jones
were found in and on his clothing at his home in Oxford days after the robbery. So this guy it sounds like he...
so they hunted him down real quickly?
Oh, yeah. Jurors are told some of the fragments were analyzed and were found to be indistinguishable from the gold from the America Golden toilet that had been made. The court also heard that DNA likely to have been his was found on a sledgehammer left in the toilet cubicle at the stately home.
Well, yeah, you can't take your sledgehammer and a solid gold toilet. That thing's got to be heavy.
So it was an 18 karat, so not even 24. Not even pure.
What are they even doing?
I would imagine, though, if it's 24, then it's probably hard to maintain shape because it's soft.
I have no idea. I think that when you have something of that mass, though, it would still be structurally sound enough to hold a person.
It did weigh 98 kilos.
I'm American.
216 pounds.
There we go. I'm American. I have
toilet.
no idea what you just said.
It was worth $6 million.
Damn.
Gold prices at the time would have seen the gold alone worth 2.8 million pounds.
So what did he do with the toilet? Like, what do you do with the golden toilet that you steal? You just go and melt it down?
I would imagine they probably just started hammering away at it.
You poop on it.
Because, I mean, if there's gold... yeah. You'd have to do it once, right?
You'd have to pee or poop into it at least once.
At least. Like, minimum, you give that one go around.
This is like a real Austin Powers gold member thing.
Yeah.
I love gold.
You definitely go at least one time, and then we got to get rid of this because people are going to have questions when they walk into your, one bedroom apartment and you have a gold dumper sitting there.
Could you just say you're a big fan of Trump? And
maybe
people,
toilets.
like they won't even notice.
Yeah, I don't think that flies. Like, you just say I spray painted it.
No, you're just like, I'm a big fan of Trump. This is what he has. I also have the Trump toilet.
So you've actually seen the Blenheim Palace before.
I have?
You have. I'll show you a picture so you have an idea
of
what
it
is. It has been in movies like James Bond, Harry Potter. It's the very stately looking, almost castle-like building.
Yeah, I know what
that
you're
has like
talking
the
about
big
now.
path that wraps around it with all the huge courtyard. It's a very the Great Court is kind of where they do a lot of stuff. The most recent one I think here is Transformers: The Last Night, where they shoot it in England.
Haven't seen
with Anthony
Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. No,
Hopkins.
No, he's close to Anthony Kiedis.
Definitely. They both give it away now.
Yep.
But that big courtyard that they have in that movie when they first get to England, that's the same building.
Never seen that movie. Never have I ever.
Definitely not the best one.
You'd think that security would be better at that place to not allow a guy
to sledgehammer away at it.
Sledgehammer away. Obviously not really prepared to take that thing out, seeing as he had to leave the sledgehammer there. And then,
I mean, how did you get it in? One.
Go ahead.
How did you get it in?
And
I'll get it in.
There you go. But also, why would you leave it behind?
The sledgehammer?
Yeah.
Well, the sledgehammer, he did it at night, right? He didn't just do this in the middle of the day.
I mean, it doesn't say.
But I thought that you did say it was in the dead of night. But you have to go in after hours because there's going to be people there that are working on the grounds. They do tours.
Yeah, but why would you leave? It's like, it's not the same thing, but like if you shot somebody and just threw the gun on the ground, like the tool that you used.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing that you can draw a direct line to.
220-pound dumper you're trying to get out of there.
So what's 5 more pounds?
Probably a lot for that guy. You know?
It sounds like he had accomplices. Also, they were trying to buy stolen material. Like, how do you fence a golden toilet? I guess you can melt anything down.
Yeah, you melt that bad boy down, and you just you put it in bricks.
If it's worth 2.8 million pounds in gold, what do you get if you're selling it to a fence? A million pounds?
Let's just go dollars. Yeah, probably you get about $1 million.
So $2 million.
Yeah, you're going like.
I think a pound is 2 to 1 right now, right?
I don't know. Don't try to.
No, it's actually way lower. It's 1.26.
Don't try to British this thing up
so
for me
so
here.
you get $1.25 million.
Yeah, I think that's about fair.
Yeah.
I think that's where you're going, and you're not expecting to get anywhere near.
You're not getting market because
No.
you're selling to a fence. It's illegal, but
You're
if you
still
melt it
making
down, like, are you melting it down into
a crap load of money?
Hey. Like, are you melting it down and then like into gold bars, or like what are you doing?
Yeah,
as a
you gotta
fence?
put that into gold bars just for the purposes of criminal endeavors and whatnot. Gold bars, they exist, easier to transport when you can stack them all up. I don't know. Maybe you put them in cute little molds. Maybe you get like a Ninja Turtles cake mold and you put them in those. And they have little gold Ninja Turtles running around. I have no idea what you do. I'm not a criminal. I would not be a good criminal either. I know that this would not be for me.
I'd be a good one.
Well, that's been well established.
Would. Not that I could. Would. Wow. Couple of questions here on the Vancouver Ford text line.
Yep.
Why did the original have a $6 million toilet? Which, because you can. Was it to look at or actually use? It was hooked up. Like, you can actually see it hooked up in the corner in a bathroom.
It was like an art installation by an artist who did it. Because nobody lives in these palaces like on the day-to-day. Like, he took a tour. I read that he took a tour of this place twice. The 2 days before it was stolen, he went and did like a tour of the joint, and then he went in there with a sledgehammer and took it. I think that's bad casing that he did there. You could have done this in a much cleaner way.
If you can afford a gold toilet, do you think you have too much money?
That's a great question, Will. And no, very wealthy people also feel like everyday people I could use more money.
Well, I understand that, but like, I don't know. Don't you think that there's something that you could do? Like maybe put that money in like bonds and they do that too, though.
Yeah, that's what this is called, the annuities.
Maybe donate to charity, perhaps.
Oh,
they do that in smaller
What
sums.
are you thinking, Will?
Would you? I'm thinking about the common man.
Yeah.
Would you pay money to use the golden toilet?
I would.
$2 to go number 2.
I would.
No.
I would. I would pay. I would pay if in a palace like that.
$2 to go number 2.
Yeah.
I definitely let my legs fall asleep. I get my money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do that. Now, did they sell the toilet off?
They
Do we
weren't.
know that?
He wasn't able to.
Oh, so
he was attempting to fence it.
Wait, so this happened in 2019, and they're just now getting the court case underway?
And they work at a different pace in England.
Holy smokes! Now I see why that was really important that we have speedy trials in the United States. You see, it was worth it to throw that tea off that boat in Boston Harbor.
Well, the tea was also not good. All right, coming up next, the Phoenix Suns are not good. Like, in a way that I can't fathom. Chris Haynes has his own breaking news of a meeting that came out between Coach Budenholzer and Devin Booker. That Devin Booker also kind of addressed in a post-game press conference, and boy, are things going just swell down in Phoenix. We'll get to that and more coming from Andy Nussey, today, the Fan.
and Portland's sports leader, 1080, The Fan.
Chris Haynes, on his Haynes brief, released some information as it pertains to directly sourced knowledge about a meeting that was held between Devin Booker and Coach Budenholzer, where Coach Bud asked Devin Booker to take a step back. And it's actually pretty wild when you hear what Chris Haynes and then Devin Booker had to say.
I was told that weeks ago, Mike Budenholzer called his star guard Devin Booker into his office to issue a complaint. And that complaint, I'm told, was that Booker was being too vocal on the court and during timeout huddles. He implored his star guard to tone it down to allow for the coach's voice to be heard. This complete Booker, I was told. Now, after the Suns lost Thursday to the Pelicans, which saw them lose their 10th game in the last 12, Booker spoke publicly about how the lack of communication is hurting the team.
It could be fixed with just a little bit more talking, I'll say. Things get tough. We get quiet as a team, and from my experience and what I've seen, that's not the way to get through it. Skipping over the details and always taking the get them next game mentality. At some point, you got to draw a line, and should have been drawn a long time ago. I'd rather two people say the wrong thing to each other out there than nobody talk at all and leave the gray area. So it's like any job or any group project that you do, you have to do it together. Yeah, I always look at myself first, but I also talk a lot.
Whoa.
Good gravy.
That is, when you say that the Phoenix Suns are in trouble, I mean, the head coach and Mike Budenholzer, look, Budenholzer has been a roller coaster because remember, he was a failed head coach that when he got to Milwaukee, all of a sudden everything fell into place because of the roster that he had was incredible.
Well, to be fair,
and things broke their way.
He was very successful in Atlanta with the Hawks. His problem was that he ran into LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, Bud is, in my opinion, Bud is a very good coach.
Then why does it continue to fall apart for him? And it seems the same thing over and over and over again, which is a heavy hand and not being able to handle stars.
What the flip side of that is, I don't think it was, number one, I from what I've been told, that wasn't necessarily the issue in Milwaukee. It was more they had to make a change, and the only change they could make was Bud in Milwaukee.
And wasn't that Giannis kind of leading that charge, though, and his star player?
No, that was the organization leading that because they lost in the first round when Giannis was hurt. Remember, Giannis had the tailbone when they lost to Miami and then didn't play. And so they like, well, we have to make a change because they'd won a title, blah, blah. But I look at this from the other side. The coach was blamed last year in a championship-winning head coach, again, in Frank Vogel.
Yep.
So you're telling me they've gone through 2 title-winning head coaches, and it's the coach's fault? That's where I go, maybe this is more of a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker problem than title-winning head coaches.
Yeah.
Because if it's 2 title-winning head coaches in a row, maybe you got to start looking inward. And as much as Book is fighting against this publicly, and maybe there is a breakaway there, and I've heard that there's a pretty strong likelihood that Bud doesn't come back after this year. But I would expect the Suns to make some pretty seismic changes. Again, we talked about this yesterday or the day before, in that KD is almost certainly getting traded this offseason. But do the Suns hit reset now? Because the Houston Rockets, they are sitting there and they have been circling Devin Booker for 2 years. They are waiting for that. It's one of the worst kept secrets in the NBA. That is what when they signed Jalen Green to that contract, it was either he was going to pop or he would be used as salary filler in a trade for a star. And if you throw Devin Booker on a team with Amen Thompson and Tari Eason and Alperen Şengün and Dylan Brooks, all of a sudden that team looks pretty damn scary because right now their problem isn't defense. It is being able to score in the half court. Because without Fred VanVleet, they are lost on most nights. Having a 28-a-game score in Devin Booker would be huge. But the Phoenix Suns, for all of the pomp and circumstance of Matt Ishbia coming in and going all in, you have seen this play out so many times, particularly in the NBA, of a new owner coming in, thinking, I know how to do this better than anyone else. Let me show you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
and now they have no assets, and their only way out is to hit a nuclear reset button.
Yeah. And that nuclear reset button will be Budenholzer getting canned, KD being dealt,
And then possibly assessing whether or not you trade Devin Booker. And the reason you would trade him to the Rockets is the Rockets hold the Suns' picks.
Yep.
The Suns right now, if they fall into the lottery and they just crater down, the Rockets have their pick. You're talking about a world where their pick could be Cooper Flagg if they won the lottery, and Cooper Flagg could end up in Houston. That's terrifying.
That would be really good for Houston, man. They would be unbelievable if that happened. If that happened.
Again, it's a big if, but like you're opening up scenarios and possibilities that nobody would have thought.
They have
2 years
no
ago.
business being a game worse than better than the Portland Trailblazers.
No.
None whatsoever. And the infighting is real. And Devin Booker and Mike Budenholzer, obviously that relationship is fractured right now, and it's a downhill spiral. And I'm here for it because when Ishbia came into the league, he was the big swinging that was going to turn things around right away. He billed out a ton of money for a roster that is not working right now. Nope. And look, I wish that somebody would do that here in Portland, but it's also the cautionary tale that isn't always the right way, and it doesn't always work.
No. All right, coming up next, we're going to keep it in the NBA. Ant Edwards, we already talked about being suspended for accumulating technicals, but there's also news and notes coming around him and possibly the Dallas Mavericks calling the Minnesota Timberwolves to swap Luka and Ant before ultimately dealing with the Lakers. We'll get to that and more in hour number 3 here on Danny Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Describe the ruckus, sir.
And 1080.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty on a Friday afternoon, whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. Look at that, Dusty. I knew what day of the week it was.
Hey, Friday. Friday got it for you.
Friday got it for me.
There we
There's
go.
no other,
It's about time.
There you go. It only took me 2.5 years to figure it out. Speaking of figuring it out, figuring out a month later how the hell this Luka Doncic trade actually happened. There is an article from Sam Amick of The Athletic where he highlights that the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison also shopped Luka Doncic to the Timberwolves for Ant Edwards, which is, first of all, this is counter to everything that's been reported by the direct sourcing to the Mavericks and the Lakers. There was one other team, and everybody that I had talked to said that the one other team they talked to was the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
Which, as a reminder, Nico Harrison was a longtime Nike executive.
Mm-hmm.
Who does Giannis have issue with?
Nike.
Okay, the player they ultimately traded for, Anthony Davis. Who is he repped by in the shoe industry?
Nike.
Okay, Ant Edwards. Who is he repped by?
Adidas.
Huh. So that's your first context clue of things I don't believe for $1,000, Alex. Beyond this, the reporting was directly that he had conversations only with Rob Pelinka. Even after he downplayed that they didn't put it out there, they want anybody else, because they targeted Anthony Davis because he's a player he was familiar with his time at Nike, and they wanted a defensive identity. Ant Edwards, is he a defensive stopper? Is he a defensive identity? No. Is he a guy who can play good defense as a premier scorer? Yeah, sure. But that's not what he is. That's you're not talking about having this big bully team like Giannis. Big bully guy, defensive player of the year caliber kind of guy. Anthony Davis in that same vein. Ant Edwards does not fit that. Now, from a talent perspective, that 100% fits. And if I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves and that deal is on the table, I am taking it. I want out of the Ant Edwards business immediately, today, if I have the opportunity to get a star, not only that is better, but has shown to be a guy that can backpack a team to the NBA Finals.
But this is, I don't understand why this would just come out of nowhere and he'd just throw this in here if somebody hadn't told him that, right? And he's saying that league sources are... because... the article that this is kind of thrown into by Sam Amick of The Athletic it's about the struggles that Luka is having to adapt and play alongside LeBron and be in LA, right? Mm-hmm. Because last night he was not good. And I think he was 1 of 9 from 3 last night. It's looked clunky.
The one that he hit though, sweet Jesus. Did you see it?
Yeah, again, my son's a Laker fan, so.
He threw that thing in from the ocean.
Yeah.
At the end of the clock, in a shot had no business. It was very reminiscent of Nikola Jokic in the playoff against the Lakers. Remember the heave he threw behind his head?
Yeah.
And just ripped the net? That's basically what Luka did from about 30 feet away in the corner. Or in the wing.
But his struggles have been noted, and they've been mighty with the Lakers. And honestly, without LeBron playing the way that he's been playing, they are not winning any of these games, including last night against Minnesota. He was unbelievable.
Do you know what
night.
he is averaging over the past 6 weeks?
No.
28, 8, and 8 on 50, 40, 80.
The man is 40 years old and damn near averaging a triple-double every game.
On crazy efficiency.
And that is, 6 weeks? That almost puts us, because in December he turned 40. Yeah. So almost the entirety of year 40 has been that effective.
He's
been nuts, man.
He's going to end up on the first team All-NBA.
Well, yeah, he's outstanding. Even if it wasn't because of name recognition, he would do it because of his play right now.
That's what I mean. His play is putting him up there, which is an insane thing. But back to the Minnesota Timberwolves things and why I think this would come out. Have the Dallas Mavericks done themselves a single favor with PR through this entire thing?
No.
Now, if the narrative that you put out there is that you discussed only Anthony Davis, wouldn't it behoove you to have something out there? Well, actually, in fact, we did test the market, and we did go after a young star in Ant Edwards, and we did maybe go after Giannis Antetokounmpo. The thing is, though, another red flag for me of like why I don't buy that they went after Ant Edwards. What are the reasons that they believe that Luka Doncic couldn't be a title-winning contender?
I think, well, because of the drinking and the hookah and the not taking care of his body.
Okay. Are those on-court related issues?
No.
Has Luka Doncic been, if not the most productive, the second most productive player in the NBA since he has been in the league?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
It's Jokic and then
Jokic and yeah.
Okay. Ant Edwards has been a ticking time bomb of stupidity since he came in the NBA off the floor.
Yep.
And if you're worried about a player making mistakes and not taking the role as the face of a franchise seriously, why on earth would you go get Ant Edwards?
Yeah, Ant Edwards has been stepping in it with baby mama left and right.
And let's not forget the homophobic comments. And I mean, the guy, to be blunt, is a dirtbag off the court. I mean, just an absolute
not known
dirtbag.
as a great dude.
And if you're talking about the intrinsic things of being face of a franchise, if those are the things that you're worried about Luka Doncic, who took you to the finals,
dragged you to the finals,
basically averaging a 30-point triple-double. Why on earth would you do that with a guy who is lesser talented with more issues off the floor?
I will counter that with they ended up trading for 31-year-old injury-prone Anthony Davis. So whatever reasoning that you're trying to put on this,
listen,
it's not there.
No.
I mean, look at what they took. So yeah, they would have taken the Anthony Davis.
But I'm saying
Anthony Edwards.
There's no consistency in what they're saying, and that's how I look at this as complete and utter BS. Complete and utter BS.
Yeah, I think the trade itself was as well.
Oh,
so I'm going to believe it
was.
based on the fact that they haven't operated like an organization that is going to be doing the right thing. So, I mean, it's just as plausible because of the fact of the deal that they made. Everybody went, what are you doing? And if this is the reasoning, and they did reach out to the Timberwolves, and they say that they reached out and said, hey, you willing to deal Ant Edwards? And they were like, no. And they said, oh, what would it take? Like Doncic? And they were like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, would you be interested in trading for him? And they still said, wait, what? Why the Timberwolves wouldn't jump on it is the bigger question. Because I do believe that Dallas probably did because they're not operating like a franchise that is inept. Or they are operating like a franchise that is inept right now. Like they are not a well-run organization right now. And so I'll believe that they went with the dysfunctional move to counter the dysfunction that they believe
if
Luka
they
Doncic
actually
has.
offered that and the Timberwolves didn't take it, they're more dysfunctional. And that's
right.
But again, Tim Connolly is not a dysfunctional GM. And that is where I don't buy this at all. Going a step further and kind of going on to the Ant Edwards part of this, LeBron James, as he is wont to do, held his talks at his locker room and waxed poetically. And he was asked about Ant Edwards and a bit about when Ant Edwards at All-Star Weekend said he didn't want to be the face of the NBA. LeBron was asked about that, and he echoed this. Channing Frye said it. Why do you want to be the face of the league when all the people that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis bleep on everybody? There's some truth to that.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Because I don't like the way that the game is covered. But beyond that, Ant Edwards, I've seen some people make the comparison like he's Charles Barkley today. No, he's not Charles Barkley. He's an idiot. That's the thing, because the NBA has tried to make John Morant the face of the league, Zion Williamson a face of the league, Ant Edwards a face of the league. What do they all have in common? They're all American-born basketball players. The best players on the planet right now are European or non-U.S., with Shea being Canadian. They are trying to get an American-born star. They haven't yet pivoted to Wemby. They're pushing him up there, but they haven't made him the face of the league, which to me is insane. Like you're talking about a guy who could arguably be the best player to ever play the game, and it's still nowhere near the LeBron level frenzy. And I was like, well, he's playing in a small market. LeBron James played in Cleveland.
Yeah, I think personality has a big if you're going to be the face of the league, you have to have the personality to do it and willingness to take it on, and you have to have a big personality. Wemby has a good personality, but it has not been like, think of the guys who have been the face of the league. They've been willing to put themselves out there to be that guy, and Wemby hasn't shown that yet. He likes, and he says it often, like, he likes to go home and he goes to bed by 9 o'clock. He reads books before games. Like, he's kind of an introvert in that regard. So I think that may be a big force of why you're not making the face of the league, outside of you want him to be American too, which is going to be a big factor in it.
Which is why Cooper Flagg's going to have all the pomp and circumstance around him.
Yeah, he's okay being with a camera in front of him, and he wants that attention too.
The thing about this with the Ant Edwards of it all, and tying him back to the Ja and Zion stuff, like, the NBA is searching for this hard, and they keep tying their wagon to the wrong dude over and over and over again because of off-court stuff.
Well, that's why they need to let it come to them like it has before. Like with Jordan, that wasn't the NBA. That was Nike making Jordan the face of the league. Nike put a marketing machine behind him, and they said, they did the same thing with Kobe. They did the same thing with LeBron,
They tried to do it with KD, but KD, to your point, is not a guy that
he said
wanted that mantle.
No thanks. And I think with Ant Edwards, they're going, no.
Yeah. Well, they tried to, but they're kind of pushing back against it.
Ja Morant too. They gave him the signature shoe, and then he started pulling guns out everywhere. And they said, "All right, we're gonna have to pull back on this new face of the league too," because Ja had everything that everybody's looking for. He was flashy. His dad was flashy.
He was fun,
skilled,
entertaining, explosive, highlight culture. All had a mentality with not necessarily the grit and grind Grizzlies, but definitely there. He had a little bit of edge to him, which you do want that. You want some edge.
Hell yeah, you do.
Like that. I mean, Steph Curry had zero edge to him, but if not for LeBron, I mean, Steph's the guy.
Yeah.
When you're talking about like face of the league, that's why that transition out of LeBron, Steph, KD has proven to be so difficult, and why the NBA is still attaching themselves so strongly to those three guys.
People do love that edge to players, and it doesn't have to be like getting into trouble edge.
No.
It is, Jordan and
playing with the nastiness,
manufacturing things that
Slights.
people have said to you, or getting cut from your high school team, which he didn't actually get cut from his high school team, right? Tom Brady with knowing every single quarterback that was drafted in front of him and keeping that list in his locker throughout the entirety of his 21-year NFL career. Like, that, people love that. They love an edge to a guy.
They like a strong pettiness.
What they don't like is a guy in a strip club with a gun making it rain around strippers.
Pac-Man Jones.
Ja Morant. Ja Morant. Yeah. He did that.
Shotgun Willies.
Like, this is they're not looking for that kind of edge. No. But the NBA they're desperate because they know LeBron is fading fast.
Yep.
Steph Curry, it may go before LeBron at this rate. We don't know how much longer you have with either one of those guys. They need to find a face, and they need to find it soon. And it ain't going to be Anthony Edwards, that's for sure.
Coming up next, Matthew Stafford is returning to the Rams. What effect does that have on the rest of the NFL for the cornerback needy teams? We'll get to that and more here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Backed by 1080 The Fan.
Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams have decided on a restructure and a reunion. He will stay in Los Angeles for the next at least 2 years. What does that mean for the rest of the quarterback-needy teams that were in pursuit, including the New York Giants and Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, it means that they're back to the drawing board, and already you're seeing the reports that the Raiders are kicking the tires on Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, and Justin Fields. Now, the Steelers are saying they want to bring back one of the two guys that they had there last year, whether it's Wilson or Fields. The fact that they aren't committal on which one they want, I think, is pretty telling. But that's going to be the lot in life that both the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders have. We know that they are quarterback needy.
Yes.
And they have to make a move there. Do the Giants want to waste their pick on the second quarterback, right? Because they have and I say waste because there's so many other needs that they have right now. Like, they need a bridge quarterback to wherever they're going, because the rebuild is going to take not just one season to get things right in New York. Their defense is okay. They need help on the offensive line. They need help at run. They need a running back. They need another wide receiver to complement Malik Neighbors. That's further down the line. But quarterback, where they're at, what are they at, 5th or 6th?
Raiders? Yeah, 6th.
No, Raiders are 6th. Giants are 5th. Is that right?
I think they're further up, aren't they?
Or no, they're sitting 3rd, aren't they? Behind Cleveland. Cleveland?
Yes.
Is that where they're at? You can get the best, 3rd. You can get the best player at multiple positions. Edge might be gone, right? If it's Abdul Carter that goes number 1. Cleveland, by all accounts, they're going quarterback because of what Deshaun Watson, his contract holds, and they're going to be anchored down for at least another year, and they're trying to hang on to Myles Garrett. So at 3rd, are you going to go Shedeur Sanders at number 3?
Unless the Giants decide to trade up with the Titans.
And jump them.
Ward.
And does that fix your problems?
Is that what you want?
You have other issues. Your offensive line, your running game.
Well, what they should be doing is asking
holy smokes,
Joe
you're not going to
Shane's-
go running back at
Joe
3.
Shane's kid, what they should do.
Yeah. But they were putting all their eggs into the Matthew Stafford basket. They said they were ready, and there's a report out there from the New York Post that says the 2-year, $100 million offer that they were floating out there as being ready and prepared to give to Matthew Stafford. Look, that tells you enough about what they thought of draft class this year, because they were ready to go and say, all right, Stafford going to be our guy. We can go and get, a tackle in the first round, and we can start moving the ball down the field. Well, now you really do have to take a long look at Shedeur Sanders at 3, or one of these bridge quarterbacks. You're not going to bring Sam Darnold to New York because of how the first trip went to New York for him. He probably isn't going to come down that road. So where do you land? We went through the free agent quarterbacks. Daniel Jones, who they exiled, was like 4th on the list of the free agent quarterbacks. It's not a great class. It's a really bad class.
It's never really a good class of free agent quarterbacks, but this is very stinky.
No. And so I don't know where any of these other teams go, because look, the Raiders may be in a real pinch if the Giants do go Shedeur Sanders at 3, because then are you going to go and get Russ or Justin Fields or Sam Darnold? People should not get blinded by what Sam Darnold did last year, because if you take a year without Justin Jefferson, okay, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson, he had weapons. And then he had Kevin O'Connell as his play caller too, who is a great play caller. Don't think that that's going to just get replicated when we have a large body of work and multiple stops that wasn't good.
No. I don't like any of those options. If I'm the Raiders, I would rather them miss out on all those guys and go, and I'm using hyperbole here, but go the Peterman route. If they hear me out. I would rather that be the worst hellscape possible than tying yourself to any of those 3 quarterbacks. with the risk of going into the draft and the quarterback you want not being there. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
if you go in there without a quarterback and everybody knows that you need a quarterback, and so they're going to leverage the living hell out of you. They're going to try to draft slot above you, move around you to make it hell for you for the other teams that are trying to vie for a quarterback, whether that's Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers. I would rather the Raiders, instead of stretching, continue what they did last year in the draft. Draft slot on best player available, particularly in the first round. If that's Will Campbell at tackle, fine. If that's Will Johnson at cornerback, fine. If it's the best edge rusher, fine. I don't care. Take the best player available at pick number 6 and hope and pray that at the beginning of the second round that Jackson Dart is there. That is, to me, with where they are at right now, that is the most optimal
I think
outcome.
that is where the New York Giants are probably thinking too, right? You go offensive line. You have the second pick. You have the 34th pick if you're the Giants. If you can get Dart because Cleveland has the first pick of the second round, correct? Then you go down that road and you say, all right, this is how we're going to do it. We are going to roll right through and try to make this as palatable as we possibly can. It's not a enviable spot to be in for every single team in the NFL draft that does not have that quarterback. And that includes, look, you mentioned them earlier, the New Orleans Saints are in that boat right now. Minnesota and what they do at quarterback, whether they're going to run it with J.J. McCarthy or do you bring Darnold back? And there's a very real possibility that happens too. So you could see a situation where they bring Darnold back for another year and there's another quarterback that's off the table, and then you're staring down the barrel of Russ or Fields or, as you mentioned, holding down that hope that a guy falls to you in the second round. I think what the thing that happened with the Matthew Stafford agreement today is that domino fell, and now the Rams are in action. Offensive tackle Alaric Jackson, 3 years, $57 million. Now you're starting to see they know what they're paying their quarterback.
Yep, their cap structures.
They know
nailed
exactly
down.
where they need to go. Now every other piece is going to start moving forward with them because their defense is really cheap because they're young and they're really
good.
damn good on that side of the ball. The Rams figuring out the Stafford issue is a domino that's going to fall across the league, but more importantly, they figured out what they have to work with and what they can offer to all the other guys with that extra $24 million that the salary cap gave them.
Super useful. Well, speaking of salary cap and structures and figuring things out, the team in the Northwest and the NFC West, the Seattle Seahawks, are linked to making a pretty seismic move with their star wide receiver. We'll get to that and more coming up here. But first, here's Big Will Betts with the Sports Zone Update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by Reynolds Defense Firm. If you've been arrested for a DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, it's a big weekend in college hoops. First, the Oregon Ducks host the USC Trojans in Eugene Saturday afternoon. The Ducks are going for their 21st win on the season, trying to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. Right now, they look like they should be in the tournament, according to ESPN's Joe Lenardi. Tip-off for that game is scheduled for 1 p.m. That game can be heard here on 1080 The Fan. Following that game, the Pilots have their final regular season game of the year before the start of the WCC tournament next week. They're down in San Diego taking on the Toreros. The Toreros right now have the worst record in the WCC. Tip-off for that game is at 7, and that game can also be heard here on 1080 The Fan. Your Portland Trailblazers are back in action tonight. They're traveling to Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Portland is going for their 4th straight victory. Tip-off scheduled for 4:30. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite
Some news and notes from another NFC West team here up in Seattle. They're still trying to figure out what they're going to do with their quarterback situation, Geno Smith, and getting a deal done there. But beyond that, there's been a little bit of smoke about, or for really, I want to say the last 2 months, about the future of DK Metcalf in Seattle.
Yeah, well, you had John Schneider today saying there's no doubt in his mind Geno Smith will be the guy moving forward in Seattle. What that number looks like, that is for Seahawk fans to argue about and see how much money that would take. The DK Metcalf thing is interesting because Michael Sean Dugar of The Athletic, he is saying, look, this is all over the place. You have NFL reporters and local guys. I haven't seen it on the national from any of the national reporters except for the fake account, Duff Kleiman.
Yeah.
Of saying that this is real because there's rumors out there that it's DK Metcalf, the 23rd overall pick, which is Packers' first round pick, and Romeo Doubs, right? But now you have people saying there has been no contact between the Seahawks and Packers, and that comes from a Packers beat reporter, Matt Schneidman, who is saying, according to a source, there's been no contact or negotiations as of now between the Packers and Seahawks regarding DK Metcalf.
And for those who are wondering, Corbin Smith, who covers the Seahawks for, the Emerald, one of the Emerald Spectrum, and hosts Locked On Seahawks, is the one that I believe first had the DK possibilities.
I'll tell you what, that'd be a hell of a haul if you get a first-round pick and you get Romeo Doubs, and you're sending DK out, and that
he's a dude.
JSN then becomes your guy that you are hitching your wagon to up in Seattle.
If you can get a 1 for DK and a replacement level wide receiver, we've talked about the value of wide receiver in the NFL, and not that it's easy to replace that guy, but we just saw a mock draft the other day that had.
You can.
I mean, that's my point. It's like you can. What was it? Tedero McMillan was going 22, 1 pick earlier to the Los Angeles Chargers. You can get, like, this isn't the wide receiver draft that it has been the last couple of years, but there are guys in this draft. Another guy, Marcus Golden, I've seen been flying up draft boards recently, the Texas wide receiver. Isaiah Bond is another guy that you hear about as far as being like a 5-star all-world athlete, very much in the same mold of like a DK Metcalf. So there are ways that you could do this in salary structure-wise, allow yourself a lot more wiggle room and team building structure-wise. Sure. Don't get me wrong, I'm a big DK guy. Yeah, I am a sucker for 6'5" wide receivers. Yeah. You give me big boy, like Mike Evans is one of my favorite wide receivers of the modern era. If you have the opportunity to go get a massive wide receiver with great top end speed and the ability to basically high point anything, I prefer those guys over basically any receiver in the NFL.
And it appears the DK Seahawks relationship has run its course, right?
And this is the first time we've heard this. We've been hearing this for months about
all
them
last
moving
season.
On. Yeah,
all last season. And if that is the case, you want to cut bait before it gets ugly, because we know receivers, when they get it in their head, they can drag you down as much as they can lift you up and make game-changing plays. So I don't know where the Seahawks go in this. If that framework of a trade is actually the haul that you could get for a DK Metcalf, hell yeah, do it. I think that would be something that it works for both sides. You are hitching your wagon to Jackson Smith and Jigba. It is a massive change, but you are then gaining assets. And what do you need? You need offensive line help. And if you can bolster your interior offensive line with a 23rd overall pick, that helps you out. That helps you out big time with everything that Seattle needs to do. So I'm here for it. I would like it. I just want to see what that number is that you're going to be giving Geno Smith in a contract extension. If he is your guy and he will be the guy for you, what does that number look like? We were talking about this yesterday with the Brock Purdy deal, right? If you are in that sub $40 million range and you can lock Geno up, that's the freight that you got to pay. Go do it. Go do it. That would put him like in the late teens of highest paid quarterbacks in the league.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Totally respectable.
Totally
right
fine.
There. We were talking about $40 million would put you at 15th in the NFL yesterday when we were talking about the Brock Purdy deal.
When we're talking about salary slotting and stuff like that, like I think that's appropriate for
Yeah.
Geno.
For 2025, and if you just want to go on cap hit for you there, does that sound fair?
Sure.
Well, that's kind of flawed because the cap hit is always different than the actual money that
Sure.
you're getting there. But your salary cap hit for Matthew Stafford is at heading into the year. We don't know if this is going to change. $49 million, and he is 5th in the NFL. Okay. Kirk Cousins is 11th at $40 million for his cap hit. And then if you get under that, you're looking at from 12, which is Tua, down to 18, which is, no, that's not even just quarterbacks. That's all players in the league. But once you get down there, you get into the position players. 16 would be Baker Mayfield at 35. And everybody ahead of him they're all quarterbacks.
Okay. Yeah, no, that
16th in the league.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
That's your range.
I'm okay with that.
That's your range that you're at, and you can live with that. And look, the cap number will probably be lower because he'll get a
Moving
big
money around,
he'll
yeah.
get a big signing bonus this year. But if you're looking at total cash, you want him right in the meaty part of where quarterbacks are, half. And if you can get him in the bottom half, that would be great because it feels like he likes Seattle. He's been productive in Seattle, but he's not the guy that's carrying your team. You're going to have to get a roster built around him that will carry that team.
I think with that at that kind of salary level, you can.
Yep.
And that's kind of the way you end up slotting all this.
Mm-hmm.
The Portland Trailblazers are taking on the Brooklyn Nets tonight.
Tonight?
There's a strong likelihood.
This evening?
This evening?
This late afternoon?
Late afternoon.
Late
There you go.
afternoon.
I do
Yeah.
love me a good early tip.
This late afternoon. Oh, man, I stepped on that.
What's that?
I want to look at you when I talk to you.
I love a good early tip. I got you. There's a strong likelihood that Denny Avdia is not going to play tonight. He is questionable coming into the night, as well as Jeremy Grant. Does this pave the path for Shaedon Sharpe to follow up his best performance of his young career with another productive performance? We'll get to that as we wrap up today's show here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Let's break bread.
1080 The Fan.
Portland Trailblazers going to take on the Brooklyn Nets here in just a little bit. And there's a strong likelihood that you will see neither Denny Avdia or Jeremy Grant. Both questionable injury report. I think pretty strong likelihood that Denny's not going to play is what it sounded like this morning. Nothing serious, but he did take a knee to the thigh that he just couldn't really work out. That does open the door for some rearrangement, as it were, of the lineup.
We are getting into the knee soreness
Yeah.
portion of the thing, though, which is what Jeremy is like.
I think you're probably leaning toward that a little bit with Jeremy. But I wonder if they don't have two starters, does Shaedon get the nod in the starting lineup? Or does he become kind of the super sub sixth man and he either comes on for one of Scoot or Ant at basically any given point and still play 30-plus minutes? Where do you think Billups goes tonight? Does Shaedon get the start if they both can't go? I'll put it this way. If only Denny doesn't go, if there's one starter out, does Shaedon slide back into the starting lineup?
Well, okay, so if Jeremy Grant, or you're saying if only Denny is out.
Yes.
Okay, if only Denny is out, that means that you would slide Scoot into the starting lineup, Ant to the 2, 2 to the 3, and then...
Or 2 to the 4.
Or 2 to the 4.
I'm sorry, I said if
only
Jeremy's
if
out.
Denny's
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
2 to the 3, and then you're
Jeremy's
sliding
forward.
Jeremy to the 4, right?
Well, he's 4, but yeah.
That would probably be the route that you go.
Mhm.
If it's Grant that is out, and then you have to, that's I think a bigger slide that you have to account for.
If they're both out, yeah.
If you're both out, but no, if it's just Grant, then I think you do think about putting Shaedon in the lineup just for matchup wise.
Denny go to the 4, 2 at the 3, and then
Yeah.
Ant and Shea.
Yep.
It's interesting.
But if both of them are out and you don't start Shaedon Sharpe, Chauncey Billups hates Shaedon Sharpe. I think that would be if both of those guys are out and he's still not in the starting lineup.
Unless he wants to go a little bit bigger and go with Chris there. That's the only thing that I can see.
I don't think you'd get. And if you're trying to get that, send a message to Shaedon Sharpe,
But
maybe.
is this, do you, if they're both out, do you, with the performance Shaedon just had, do you give him the carrot?
Well, yeah, because, and that's the thing is that I don't, if both Denny Avdia and Jeremy Grant are out, yes, you have to, because you don't have, again, it's Chris Murray or Delano Banton, right? I mean, those are your options there. So yeah, I think you put Shea in.
I do too.
And the reasoning would be, well, we needed some kind of scoring coming off the bench.
Yeah, you need another ball handler, another creator.
And that's where I say this would be a DB Hooper bench game if Shaedon
Look,
is
Cam
starting.
Thomas looks like he might play for the Nets tonight. And you want to talk about just getting them up? This would be a just getting them up Olympics between DB and Cam Thomas.
Whatever. Both these teams are not very good. So yeah, let me see. Let me see what it's about.
Let's get weird.
But this does feel like with Denny and Jeremy both being on the report this is the exact same thing that Utah did to Portland the other night, right? They were sitting there going, all right, well, I guess we're not going to play Kessler, and I guess we're not going to play Laurie. Like, we're going to be all right here. And we're not trying to win. We're going to see what they can do. And I think this may be the rolling out of, hey, we're going to try to win with the guys that we have. And we're not going to have everybody. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay with me. Don't care.
As long as if both those guys are out, both Scoot and Shaedon are getting
their run.
This is where you get your opportunity.
Yep. Yeah. Let me see it. Let me see it, and then
we
can cycle through the next.
And
4.
if either one of them give you the lack of focus or effort, then go DB Hooper, go Chris Murray, and use the stick again.
That to me is the bigger one here. Is that if something didn't click with Shaedon Sharpe about just effort, whether that's physically or between the ears, and production in the way that the game felt when he was on the floor, if that didn't click,
if he didn't register,
that is a bigger red flag than anything else.
Yes.
And that to me would be like, you would start to see that sign of he's not that guy, and he won't be that guy here, because we saw that with Scoot, right? Scoot had that wake up call, and he has looked like a different player. And a lot of what Scoot was going through is learning how to play in the NBA for the first, 70 games that he was in the league. What we've been seeing over, his last 30 and really the last, 20, you would say, is it has been the flip, or the switch got flipped for him, and he is now the aggressor, and that effort is there every time he steps on the floor. And we've seen that from him, and it did click with him. And that's a reassuring sign.
100%.
Still not, the superstar that everybody thought that they were getting with the number 3 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because not every guy is going to be the superstar, but you don't want him to be a burnout or a flop, right? Yeah. And he's not playing like that right now. This team still needs a star player, but if Shaedon can have that switch flip for him where the effort is there, being locked in, not just when he has the ball in his hands, but on the other end of the floor as well, with effort between the ears and physically, then you know that you got a guy that at least you can keep bringing along. But if that keeps disappearing for long stretches, no.
Yeah, this is the carrot and the stick conversation. There's an opportunity to give Shaedon the carrot for his performance. Now, I'm not a big proponent of, hey, you had one game, here's the reward. I'm not hugely in fan of that, but I am a fan of reinforcing the aggressiveness.
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity, if both those guys could go, he should absolutely get it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, the tank is getting very crowded, and the Blazers are way behind the 8 ball because we talked about this earlier. Philly has officially shut down Joel Embiid for the rest of the year. The Blazers are already, I cannot believe this. They are 6 games better than the Sixers in the win column. Like, that is mind-boggling to me.
And why a loss to Brooklyn would matter right now is that you're giving Brooklyn a win.
Yeah, and it also, with Phoenix, we talked about them earlier and how broken they are, where you have your coach and one of your stars
but that pick's,
are fighting.
They don't want to lose because that pick's going to the Rockets.
They right now are the Blazers are only 1 game behind Phoenix, and they could very easily rein them in very quickly. So, I mean, my expectations, Blazers are still probably going to win this game.
The Nets are plucky. They also just lost to the Wizards.
They've lost 2 in a row.
No.
They've lost 2 in a row. So who knows what happens with this basketball team?
It's nastiness.
This is a game that I think that if you were to look at like individual ratings of a Blazer game, it is going to be bottom of the barrel. Sun is out. It's like 65 degrees. It's a 4:30 tip. It is a Friday. Like, it's the Nets and the Blazers. This one reeks to me of, you could probably say whatever you wanted on Rip City Wrap Up, and it's not going to get any complaints,
Oh, they'll still
on
find
a
a
day
way.
like today.
They'll still find a way. We'll have our what was Brooke wearing segment as well.
Yeah.
We'll work that in.
Actually, Rip City Wrap Up might get a bigger number than the actual game itself, because people will just be like, what happened in it?
Yeah, I missed the game. Go ahead and fill me in.
I was out when the sun was out. And by the way, sun has been out a lot. 6 a.m., you're starting to see sunshine. Sun's staying out a little bit later. I love it. All right, that does it for us this week. Up next, you got 4 hours of power from his mouth to your ears. It's primetime with Asacha and Buck right here on The Fan. Have a great